So,
You are alive.
so which game do you want to talk specifically about this? It's up to you. I don't care. I don't care what we talking about.
Yes, it's fine.
So we can talk about the Damwon versus what's it called? Dragon X series. That would also be a good one. We could talk about. I think the ones we're gonna talk. Let's just pull them all up.
Yeah, the most important series was the LCK ones, the LPL ones that were pretty special. KT Roasters back on top a little bit. Oh, hello guys.
Hello.
C9 versus EG After Party. C9 is going to the finals. I am so happy. It's time to win the trophy. After people said we would fail in the offseason and Sneaky was off the team, everybody was doubting. And now we're in the finals, and I'm happy. So I'm pretty. What's that word?
He's happy, so he's pretty happy.
No,
he's ecstatic is the word.
Super ecstatic. And all that has to happen to make my life perfect is G2 just has to win the LEC.
Why?
Now, if G2 win the LEC and C9 win, oh my god, I'm gonna have a stream where I get drunk.
No, you're not. Shut up.
G2 and C9 best in the West after party.
Wow. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, what my big thing about it.
Do we go over Fnatic versus Mad Lions and Rogue versus Origen?
We could also do that. Let me just. I'm gonna make sure the games are up so I don't get to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, what was the name of that guy again?
I mean, I know all the names.
Well, congrats. I do too, but I just forget them on the spot. So congrats.
There was a few players that I just couldn't remember after a while. It was like just Mad Lions and Misfits rookies. Their names are just so weird.
Their names were very weird.
Yeah,
yes.
you have names like freaking Razor, Shadow, and like stuff like that where it's like, oh good lord.
Ooh, good lord.
So it's LEC, LPL, LCK, LCS, and tomorrow is FlyQuest versus TSM. I had TSM winning that 3-2, so...
I think the big thing about it, obviously, is TSM looks like the better team in general, especially throughout the entire season, but with the addition, obviously, of...
Freaking hell. What was that guy?
With the addition... Well, not the addition, but with the way they've been playing recently, I think they've actually stepped it up quite a bit.
But didn't TSM 2-0 FlyQuest in the season too?
It doesn't matter about that. I'm saying at the end of the season in general, I think that FlyQuest didn't play better than them, but they played close enough to the point where I won't say it's going to be one-sided at the least. Like, I think if this was towards the middle of the season, TSM would have 3-0'd them. But TSM had not looked very good recently.
Well, we should preview that so people can look and go, oh my god, this is what we think. So... timestamp to myself, FlyQuest versus TSM preview. Actually, I already did it. If you guys want to see my solo thoughts, but he's here, so I'm just gonna ask him.
Yeah, because he doesn't have actually intelligent thoughts. So
I'll
do the actual thinking, and then we just.
So I'll have to ask just right off the bat. Do you think it's gonna be a 3-0 like FlyQuest did against Golden Guardians?
Like are you asking me if FlyQuest is gonna 3-0 them?
Wouldn't that be crazy?
I mean, it would just be dumb. I mean, obviously they're not the better team. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Is FlyQuest is just not the better team than them. Like, they have, like, Wild Turtle in the bot lane. They have Santorin. Like, they have a lot of solid players, but no one just ridiculously good enough to the point where I would think that, hey, I think this is a pretty solid team. Like,
to be fair, Power Vivo is playing better than Bjergsen in this split.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with that. He's
kind of like Bjergsen for TSM. Like, if he gets ahead, then FlyQuest is going to win.
I agree. I think that Power Vivo has been playing really well this year. I think that he's probably, in my opinion, the best mid laner. I think that Jizuke is up there. I think that obviously Niski is up there to an extent. To an extent.
And then I think that TSM win in the bot lane. I think Kabe is better than Wild Turtle, but it's only on like specific picks. Like Wild Turtle is only carried on Xayah.
I think Wild Turtle is not better on any picks. I think in general it's just about comps that make them better. I think a comp centralized around putting a funnel on somebody is always going to be better for a Wild Turtle because he makes a lot of mistakes. Like, again, I don't think in any general comp he'll be better, but the difference will be mitigated with a kind of hyper carry, put the Karma top and all that stuff that like they did with Dragon X, or not Dragon, yeah, Dragon X did. Like, it will be mitigated if we're able to do that because of the point that if you do make mistakes, you have a lot of get out of jail free cards with that. But I think that for the most part, Wild Turtle is not going to be better than Kabe. I even think my big thing about it though is not the Kabe portion of it. It's the bottom, the support port difference.
Oh, with the Ignar to Biofrost.
Yeah, I think that Biofrost has been playing really well this season, but Ignar is just substantially
everything better.
Well, it's not everything better. I think that he's especially good on engaged champions in comparison to to Bifrost.
Yeah.
Bifrost is not as good on engaged champions as Ignar is, and that's going to be the difference maker. If they're able to get a win off this team, like off TSM, I think that it's going to come off the back of playing like some sort of hyper carry. What you want me to turn it down?
No, turn it up.
Turn it up? Why?
Wait, can they hear us properly?
Yeah, look at the noise.
Oh, okay. I was just tripping. Guys, sorry.
This is a Blue Yeti, dude. They can hear. They can hear us properly from over there.
They could hear us having sex.
Can you shut up?
But I think that Broken Blade is stronger than both of FlyQuest's top laners.
I agree with that. I think it's not even in that respect. I think that the difference in top is the big difference. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, first of all, what picks Ignar gets, how well
Power Vivo
plays. I think that it's going to be Santorin versus himself, because that's literally like Santorin played well this season, but I don't think he's a better jungler than Dardoch, even though
he is the same jungler every single year.
That's not true.
Good lord. But in the series, it was just like he ganks once, he passed well, he takes a dragon, and that's all he does. That's just, if that's acceptable in the LCS, it's like, okay.
If that's acceptable in the LCS, that's okay.
He's gonna get blown up by any other jungler who figures out, like, if your brain is like anywhere not the size of a rock, then you'll be able to beat Santorin. I don't know how people still lose to this guy.
What kind of rock are you talking about?
I don't know how people still lose to him, honestly. He's so textbook. He's so by the book.
By the book actually 100% works out, though. Even though you understand the concept of I shouldn't be in this position because he's going to be in this type of the thing, he does everything like kind of so well in terms of just the way he plays the game. He's not hyper aggressive, but he's not passive. He always... It's not like he ever ganks the specific. How is Dardoch better than Santorin? Dardoch has not been better than Santorin, but I think Dardoch is a better jungler than Santorin in general.
Oh no, we're not. I would say No, Dardoch is better. I'm saying that.
Santorin played better this season. I think that's the reality of it. I think
Dardoch is better. The better player
is the. You think Dardoch? Yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think that the big thing about it though is Santorin is one of the better junglers in the league right now. I think he's top 3 in terms of just performance this season. But
hi Joshua. Yeah, we're just talking about FlyQuest.
I just think that the reality of it is that I think that when the later parts of the season ramp up, I don't think that he's even going to be in the top 5, because Santorin's ceiling isn't as high as like most of the junglers in the league. Mm-hmm. Like I think Midos also should be better than him usually. I just don't think he played that well. I think that Dardoch is usually just all around better than him. But I don't think that applied this season. So I think if we want to see what's it called? If we want to see
Santorin actually win.
Well, no. If we want to see FlyQuest able to, like, if we want to see them take this series, I think the big difference obviously is going to be the support difference and the mid difference. Dardoch is just backed up by his blow up performance. He's mediocre to me. No, I agree. I mean, he's not been good this split.
No, yeah, we're agreeing with you. I just think overall he's the much more better player you want in specific metas like this. I think.
Well, no. I don't think this meta is very suited for him. I don't think that's the big thing about it. I think the big thing about it though is the 100 series was so bad for. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I think that he was not a difference maker that season. I think it all came down to just like putting the specific carries on a.
DRX and Broken Blade. Because remember that game 4 when they got the counter pick Kalista top, they Broken Blade just ran away with the game. It was not.
No. I think the big again. Obviously, I think the difference. The reason they won the last game was because of the pick that Bjergsen had, where he was able. Yeah, he was able to be like the empowered autos you get from all that stuff on Zoe's kit. He was able to auto attack down the Nexus and all that stuff, but. I think the big thing about it is they're not playing through Dardoch at all, which is a big thing that I don't think it really suits him. I don't think he's good for the TSM team. I really thought a kind of carry jungler would work out for them, but
they just don't need a carry jungler.
They do actually need a carry jungler. They 100% need it. The problem is their only success internationally came from a carry.
When they got into groups with Amazing back in 2014.
Well, I mean, they looked really good with Brox that year too.
This meta isn't suited for him when he's just playing Sedge. His Pantheon is okay. In my opinion, my take on the TSM FlyQuest series is bot difference. Yeah, I agree. Will be huge. Solo can go even with Broken Blade, but Broken Blade is much stronger. It relies heavily on PoE Santorin duo versus Broken Blade duo. Also, why is your friend a failed clone of Sneaky? LOL. No, because at our friend's house, he says he's Zac Efron.
Zac Efron mixed with a little bit of the Dwayne The Rock Johnson is what I say specifically.
That's not what they call me. They call me just that black guy.
No, they just call.
But I don't know. It depends because okay, so we're gonna have to hightail it back to like the beginning of the playoffs so far.
We're gonna have to go back. What is the reason?
Just a little bit, because the way FlyQuest played against EG, like it's not like they had the bad ideas. They were executing it poorly. Like they could have beat them, but they just executed it so badly. So I'm thinking like they're gonna do the exact same thing to TSM, except TSM have even better players, so it's not gonna work. That's what I'm thinking.
You're thinking that specifically?
If it didn't work against Kumo and players like Zazel,
I mean,
it's not gonna work against
all
players
around
like
that
Biofrost.
EG has been playing better than pretty much most of the teams in the playoffs so far. Besides, like even their game against Cloud9, I think that what's it called? I don't think EDG was on the same level, obviously, even with the mistakes and not contesting the Dragon Soul.
Oh yeah,
and all that stuff and trading it. Like I think that even though I think that for the most part it wasn't a very good call on their part, I think that all around they've been playing better than like even TSM has not been playing better than EDG.
Yeah,
EG, stupid.
What did you think about just quickly FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians?
FlyQuest versus Golden Guardians. I mean,
some people thought Golden Guardians could have beat them.
I expected Golden Guardians to beat them, to be honest. That's what going into it, I actually thought they were going to win.
Don't watch my video. I predicted 3-1 for Golden Guardians. Turns out
I mean, it's not something you would expect, honestly. Like, really, the only thing they have, obviously, is the Ignar, the spike from Ignar being on a carry support, and the ability for Power Evil to take over the game. But all around, they haven't been playing that well this season.
And then in the 100 Thieves versus TSM series, it was just mid lane difference.
What?
Ryoma had one good game, which was the 12-2 Oriana game, and then after that, I don't know. It just felt like that 100 Thieves were in control of their own destiny in Game 5. They were on the inhibitors, taking them, and still scared to take fights when Broken Blade wasn't even like a factor. It was literally a 4v5 until like 40 minutes in. He was not useful at all. And then one bad team fight, they run it down. Stunt chooses not to knock up the person who has 2 auto attacks, because Pearson gets to pop back and forth with Zoe, and then because Cody Stunt, if he fully channeled his own ultimate, and then he killed them all. He just straight up killed them all. I was like, what in the world? And then 100 Thieves lost, and that's where we're at today.
I mean, all around, the reason that I thought they were going to win, obviously, I think that they had, being a FlyQuest, everyone says FlyQuest was going to be like 8th, FlyQuest wouldn't have split, and then people will be like, nah, they still bad. I mean, I think that all around, I predicted them to not... I predicted them to be better than Golden Guardians, and then later on, towards the end of the split, I think that Golden Guardians did end up looking better. I mean, Closer was one of the best junglers in the league. I think he was better than...
I feel really bad for Closer, because watching him play and watching the laners he had, nothing he can do can work, because jungle, to be good, you have to play through your lanes. If your laners aren't good, well, you're going to look bad.
Oh, yeah, we had that. I mean, towards the middle of the season, when they swapped out Solo and... When they swapped out
Solo for Viper,
I think that was the big difference that actually made them like kind of spike in terms of how much power they had. I think that Power Vivo played well throughout the entirety of the season, but I don't like this, like when they pick like the Syndra pick inside of the series. I don't think that's good. I don't really like Wild Turtles.
Wild Turtle on mages.
She's
really strong bot lane.
She is a strong bot laner, but I don't think him specifically is.
That seems like a pick to him. He likes to flash forward.
No. I think in theory, like the way he plays, but in general, his playstyle, I don't like his mage. Like he didn't position properly, and I don't think he I don't know how to explain it. I don't think it was his what is it called? I don't think it was his forte. I don't think mages are his forte. He didn't look very solid on it. I think that he didn't have any mega good plays on that. I think that keeping him on an ADC is obviously his best choice. I don't think he's not somebody you want to hyper carry, but at the same time, if you don't put kind of mid laner, that's why he picks. I know he did, but he also didn't look good on them. I just maybe it was just a bad game specifically, but it didn't look good. It didn't look good specifically to me on that one. Mage bots are definitely strong.
The thing with picking mages bot lane is that you don't just want to pick them just because there are certain things that they can't do. I mean, there are certain things that they can do.
The reason they did that obviously is because Varus is one of the pokier kind of ADCs, and you actually usually want to pick Syndra works well into those types of ADCs. Syndra just has the early game poke, and it kind of negates the early game power. I think Varus has the second longest auto attack range early game. Him and Ashe.
Him and Caitlyn, right?
No, Caitlyn has the longest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those two have the longest, and I'm not really counting. I don't know what the exact number is on the Rockets for Jinx, but that's not consistent enough for me to put her up there. But
Golden Guardians ball lane is so one-dimensional, and they don't have a support at all. He and the other dude. Oh, I mean, that's true. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, most okay.
It's not the problem is that they don't ever play through these people. Obviously, the people they play through are gonna be Hanser and Closer, which is first of all you just put like a Closer on like one of these early game aggressive junglers like Olaf and all that stuff that they usually put him on, and then he can get the lanes far enough ahead sometimes. Like it obviously didn't work out during that series, but usually the thought process is to put him on that. You get the lanes ahead at the beginning of the game, and they're able to take over the game from there, even if they're worse than their counterparts. But I think the difference in mid was so big because Golden Glue's just not good enough to be in the series. Like he was just like he's not the worst player on his team, obviously, but
That's
he's
debatable
not. He's
at this point now.
I mean, I don't know. I think that he is just horrible. Like I think that he is actually just the worst player on his team. He and just both supports are not good. I think that it's debatable between him and Golden Glue, but I think that FBI is the third worst, and they really only have two competent players. So if you get them,
get Diamond.
Why don't they just get everybody? Honestly, you can't just grab players.
Buy Diamond.
You can't
C9.
You can't buy people.
No, I mean just like be like, hey, can he go on C9 Academy? Just trade this.
Why would they accept that?
Golden Guardians need an actual support.
Why would Cloud9 accept that? Tell me why.
Well, to be fair, why would Diamond accept that?
Diamond would accept that. He gets to go. Do you guys think FlyQuest would have won against DGG if those pauses didn't happen? I don't know. Again,
to be fair, before that, they were actually still playing bad.
Well, it's not just about that. It did kind of... There was a tempo that kind of got interrupted with that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I feel like all around, I think that the difference in... Like, Solo is not... Like, I think Solo's a really good top laner. I think... Well, not really good. But he's been a really... Like, more versatile top laner in the past 2 seasons because he was the worst top laner in the league 2 seasons ago. And, like, last season he became a really solid one.
No one remembers how badly he played on Gold United. It was horrible.
I think that even though I do think he's becoming versatile, he was never going to take it. Like, I don't believe in him to be able to take over the game on, on Gangplank. He doesn't have the abilities.
I just think that for Golden Guardians, so moving into next split since they're out, I think that they need an actual support. It would be better if they just got their academy support to play for them. At this point, what's the worst that could happen? They already tried key support.
They had a better scaling comp in theory. I do agree. I think that obviously with the lack of an ADC, like a lack of an ADC in there, they don't have the sustained damage to deal with Golden Guardian's team late game. But at the same time, I think that the problem is that like there's so much mobility in most of the ADCs or people that Olaf can't really dive onto. Besides, like the only person he could really go onto is the Syndra, and at that point in time, he can't just run at her because he has to have damage items, but if he doesn't have damage items, he can't kill her. So, I mean, you have to itemize, you have to get strong early on, which means he needs the kills early game, which means it really delays their power spike. It was just not a good comp into them because there were so many counterpoints to their comp. Like, without somebody to dive onto the Syndra, they were never going to win that game. But... Like again,
they did try. They dove
I don't
him
say they
a few
didn't.
times to put him behind, but
yeah, I mean Hanser and Closer are still really incredibly good. Yeah. I think they're really solid players.
Hanser was like what the 4th best top laner of the split.
I mean, I'd have to think about that.
Because you have Kumo, and you had.
Are you naming worst top laners?
Kumo Huni.
Okay, you're naming worst top laners.
Impact
was terrible this season.
Impact, Huni, Kumo.
I actually don't know who the worst top laner was. It might have been.
a
Impact played better at the end of the season.
No. I was talking about EG and Fly. No. Yeah, I was mentioning that Fly could have beaten EG.
Oh, I was talking about the same series. That's
yeah. It was just that. Overall, I think that they were trying certain things. Like they made mistakes mid game, which caused the tempo swing in EG's favor. And they're not a team where, like, if they fall behind, they come back. They're a team where if they go forward, they're only forward. It's like a shark. Sharks don't move backwards. Sharks move forward. They're a shark that likes to move forward. So if you throw a wrench in that and make them move this way, they're not really going to be good. Because we've only seen FlyQuest ever good on comfort. FlyQuest and EG thrive on comfort picks.
Kumo is... See, the problem is, I think it was a great pickup for them to pick up Kumo, but the thing... Because he played so well in Academy, but at the same time...
That's Academy.
No. I think that he's transitioned poorly. Like, he was a lot better in Academy. It's not just because it was Academy, it's because he's playing worse. Like, he was a good pickup in general.
It's not because of the actual.
I don't know what
the
it
scene
is.
He's in. It's more like it's just himself.
He's playing worse than he should have. Like, I think the big thing about it, that I think the difference between EDG and FlyQuest is, in theory, they did actually scale better, but the early game was so much different because the spikes that Kalista has, the spikes that all their players had in general on these games.
Ruin,
also,
Ruin, Huni, Kumo, and Impact.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about Ruin. Yeah.
Ruin, I don't know who was worse. Well, actually, Ruin had a few carry games. Huni did not.
I'm saying, yeah.
That's 2.3 million just to get 9th place.
Who cares? I mean, they're not losing money. They don't care about this. They're all just they're nastily rich. But I think that again, I do agree that they obviously scaled better, but at the same time, there's so much of a power spike in terms of Kalista spikes immediately. Like she spikes at level 1. Level 1 to 2, you can't trade with her, and there's literally nothing Aphelios could do because he doesn't outrange her enough. Yeah. Top lane is disgusting. It's so boring. The top lane is so boring right now.
I think you can carry in top lane. Like Whippo showed you can carry through it. These are just bad players.
There's no ability. Like there's an ability to carry from any role, but the ability is really inhibited by the state of top lane right now.
But Shy, Whippo, people like Naguri are still carrying. I think these guys are just bad.
Oh, if you even look at let's look at the reason that I actually want to go to.
People can carry.
Flandre is amazing, so shut up with that. But
Flandre is like his new Piglet. If you say he's bad, oh my god, he just starts flipping out.
Flandre's always been good.
No, I'm saying like people like Flandre, Shy, I'm gonna point out Wonder. They can all. These guys are just bad.
Let's point out what I'll point out a few things right now. What's going on with each of these teams? I'm not Dragon X. Damwon right now, if you look at their series, most of the times, if you look at the way they're playing the game right now, they spiked because they got Ghost. They look a lot better with Ghost. And if you look around the things, the way they're playing right now, they're putting a lot of the not only the resources, they're putting a lot of the jungle pressure, and they're swapping the way they play from putting him on a carry into putting him on a team fighting impactful role on Nuguri. They're swapping the way that they play because obviously Nuguri is the best player. Ghost is not a better player than them, but somehow they're playing around Ghost because of the state of the meta right now.
I think that's more of what a new player gets because a lot of the players, when you get a new player on your team, you want to make him feel like he's comfortable and he can be a carry. So what a lot of coaches have said is that when you get a new player, you want to try and make the other players play around him to make him feel like he's...
I don't think you really should do that in the middle of if you don't win the next few games, you're out of playoffs kind of thing. I don't think that's what they're trying to do.
Because they've been showing that. They've been showing that they want to play through Ghost. I think Ghost is a good player.
Ghost is good, but honestly, I think the big problem is that his playstyle requires so much fundamental attention that it's negatively impacting the top side of the map because you have a good player honestly inside of Nuguri who's not going to get as much. Well, he'll be fine in resources, but he won't get as much attention because of all these things. Because I think that Ghost's aggressive ish type of playstyle early game is making it towards the point. And honestly, he team fights pretty well, but I don't think that's his power spike. I don't think he's...
The issue with a lot of things comes in top lane because Riot likes to nerf top lane to a point where either if you lose so badly early on, you're pretty useless, or you have to play a team fighting tank.
And
that's for competitive.
The big problem with top lane right now is there's so many early game objectives that you kind of need to contest.
You have to roll them out of top lane to get there.
What I'm saying is that you kind of need to be in these bottom side fights early game. You need to be in these fights early game, but at the same time, if you're in these fights, you're not CSing, getting the XP.
2.3 million kick W. I love Dignitas. They're always forever shit. Hey D-Mac, what's up, guys? Good to see you all again. Oh,
wow, that only took you 3 tries to read.
I tried.
That was really good.
What else you guys? If NA doesn't try stuff, if they do and lose, everyone flames up. No, because that's a double-edged sword too. Because it's not that we flame them for trying different stuff. Is that they try it and they absolutely just. There was a game where Wiggly played Karthus jungle. And remember how he looked on it? It's not them choosing flex picks. It's about the way they're playing the flex picks.
Okay, so first of all, out of all the major regions, let's be honest, mechanically, NA is the worst. Mechanically, NA doesn't have the players to compete with the rest of the regions.
Nick, you're trolling. They don't have a good roster.
You're
trolling.
In theory, they had a good roster.
No.
In reality, they didn't. But I think they could have won.
We said the same thing. We knew it was not going to work.
I thought it could work. I honestly thought the roster could work. It looked so good, and I was like, you know what? Huni looked good at the beginning of the year. At the end of the year, do you not think so? Huni looked good at the end of.
Well, you're counting at the end of Worlds 2019.
No.
Now, right?
I'm talking about in the end of the summer split last year, he looked pretty solid. I think that Aframu, and Johnson at the beginning of the year, I think Johnson.
I think he still played fine.
Johnson, it was incredible. I think Johnson was one of the best ADCs in the league, and that's just coming out of a team that.
Oh yeah. No, Nick, I'm just kidding with you. I know what you meant. With Cody, Sun, Vulcan, fucking what's his name, Lyra, Demonte, Huni. I mean.
Oh.
They were good before, but it's like...
Okay, Lyra played a lot better at the end. Throughout the entire list, I think he was one of the most underappreciated junglers because I don't think that he was great, but I also don't think that he was playing as badly as many people did. I think he was like a top something.
Yeah, middle of the pack jungler.
Middle of the pack jungler.
Nothing special.
And again, Cody Sun played really well. I think that, again, Demonte was one of the best junglers. For portions of the season, he was one of the best mid laners in the league. But he just wasn't consistent enough. He popped off.
People were comparing Demonte to Niski.
He was a lot better than Niski last season. I know you don't want to say that, but I think that was the case. I think that Niski was actually not that good. I don't think Niski had a good season last season. He's substantially better than he was the previous season. But the season before that, I think Niski was playing incredibly well. When he was in EU, he played really well. When he came over to NA for the first season, I don't think he played that well.
He played exactly the way I thought.
Why would you think that? He played so much worse.
Because he'd been playing like that all his time. I was like,
in
he's
what
not going to
time?
change for a little bit. He was on Fnatic Academy playing that exact same way. He was on Team Envy playing that way. What is
this same way? So he essentially really didn't have a starting roster for a lot of his time, all around. I think that for the most part, he's been playing a lot of academy scenes and all that stuff. But I think that Niski played really well at the end of the season, and I know you like to reference the fact that he was a one-trick cast, but I don't think that's the case. I think he played really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, and then the next season when it came into NA, he just played substantially worse, and then he had pop-off games on cast.
Maybe he was so good he was playing down to our competition.
I don't think that's the case. I just think he just played a lot worse coming into this season, and then this season he's played really well. I think that he stepped it back up this season.
But if Dignitas had kept that roster, I don't know, because lightning doesn't strike twice for me in those things.
Well, I mean, the problem is that Vulcan has become maybe the best support in the league.
Yeah.
I think that I also said that was going to happen. I want to point that out. No, Vulcan has became one of the best supports in the league at the very least. Cody Suns has been playing really well, but I think that the problem is they would be a playoff team. I think they obviously Cloud9 would be a lot worse without Vulcan. It would have upgraded Dignitas in general, but it would have downgraded the overall scope of NA because they wouldn't have a Vulcan Sven bot lane that's the best in the league by far.
They said that if they didn't get Vulcan, they were going to get Smoothie back or Biofrost.
They would have sucked they would have lost 2 to 3 more games.
Could you imagine Sven and Smoothie? They were from TSM and they go to Cloud9.
I was saying, they would have lost 2 to 3 more games. Also, I want to point out, we sat behind Reginald the previous season when they still had, what's his name? Mithy and Sven, and everything that I said right behind, he was listening.
I told him to stop, because they wouldn't stop. Imagine his dad, next to him, and he's just talking to his mom, and then this guy is having a conversation with me about something they did to him, and he's right in front of them.
So I was trash talking TSM a little, it wasn't that much.
That's so embarrassing.
He was asleep. I don't think he actually cared.
He looked back at us.
He
looked back at us.
So I for 3 things I mentioned, I said they need to replace Mithy. Mithy's gone the next season. Maybe I'm essentially I'm the change that TSM had into the next season, which made them not make it to Worlds again. So I guess it didn't matter.
You cursed them.
I didn't curse them. They sucked the previous season too.
Then you told me, why is Mithy playing Orange support? I was like, that's something they played.
Well, he missed it literally immediately when I said that he missed an Ornhorn. Which was impossible at that point in time.
Played in scrims. That's the only reason why you pick it.
Well, I mean, he was just not good. Mechanically, he's not great.
We were blessed to see Arrow in big bot lanes.
Arrow was good at one point. Arrow was a good player, and I think even last season, I don't think Arrow was that bad.
He was better than Stixay.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Stixay was good at points.
I think that was just Biofrost making him look better.
I mean, yeah. Biofrost was the better player in that lane. But I think Stixay was a pretty solid player for some points.
Gosh, man, all the great things we saw. We've seen Magikarp use Fly. He's a cool dude too.
I didn't talk to him. You did.
Hotshot GG. We've seen him before. It's I remember this. It's actually a curse when we go see C9 versus TSM. Because remember when C9 was undefeated in the spring split of 2017 when they had contracts.
You mean it was a blessing because every time we go there they get stomped.
It's a curse. We go to see Cloud9 when NA play best of 3s. And then C9, deja vu, TSM beats them when they're undefeated. Then we go watch TSM versus C9, spring split, semifinals. TSM win, reverse sweep. You're watching this live. It's like every single time we go see C9 versus TSM, TSM always wins.
I mean, honestly, I'm really happy about that because I don't think I could handle a car ride back home with you being in the Porsche of being in a high of watching a Cloud9 win.
Oh no! They knew I was pretty sad after we got reverse swept. Jason was like, Jason.
I'd rather you be sad than be happy.
Jason,
I'll be honest.
we walked out of the studio and Jason just did a pat on the back like that. He was like, okay. I started crying a little bit.
You did not cry at all.
I was just like, just watching that live is so like you're winning. And then Sneaky is so stupid. He gets in front of an Akali to auto attacker, and then Bjergsen hits him one time and he was almost dead. I was like,
see the portion about it, you're misremembering that fight because Bjergsen dove the back line.
No, this was after that. Remember?
He dove the back line twice in a row. Remember?
Non-LOL question. What's your drink of choice? You mean alcohol? His is like Captain Morgan. But if you mean like just energy drink, I like Kickstarts. I like orange juice, apple juice.
I mean,
no tomato juice.
I honestly don't know what he means by drink. I assume
alcohol.
No, I don't think he's talking about alcohol. I'm assuming he's talking about just drinks in general, and all I drink is Red Bull. So
Red Bull, Kickstarts. I like apple juice, orange juice, stuff like that. Tomato juice tastes like dog crap. You ever drink tomato juice? You're not a human.
Why are you even talking about tomato juice if you don't like it? What's the reason of bringing it up into this conversation if you don't like tomato juice?
Bangs are disgusting. If you drink bangs, I don't know who you are. Okay. Monsters are overrated and disgusting and taste like cough syrup.
He asked you what you liked, and you just started talking about everything you don't like.
Yeah, I'll drink like one Kickstarter when I'm playing League, get a boost, and act like I'm Whippo on set.
Is this?
Oh, the can. Oh yeah, he's drinking Red Bull. I should have got myself a drink too, but it's okay. I'm gonna be a thirsty thought.
I'm not taking you home if you're talking weird like this, man. I want to be in a car with you.
But yeah, we saw C9 get reverse swept, and then he was high on TSM because he still had He's like, man, TSM's gonna be above Liquid. I was like,
okay, so I'll point out this was
last year.
I'm pointing out post. At the beginning of the season, I rate teams based on what's it called, and he rates them as Cloud9 first, and then goes on. That's how he rates every season. Don't LOL at tomato juice because he's gonna keep talking about it. Just don't bring it up. I don't want to hear him talk about tomato juice anymore. But every season, it's Cloud9, then some other team, and then I've talked to him like, why do you think Cloud9's going to win? Oh, they've done it so much, even though they hadn't won a split in like 6 years. Somehow he thinks they're going to get first.
But every single regular split, they're usually like top 3.
Well, yeah, but every season they have a completely different roster. And I think the only thing that kind of I could understand if you were saying it is the coaching staff, but you don't think that. You always think, like, you always delve into the players and like they could do this and they can do that. I think that my big thing about it, obviously, is Cloud9. I didn't think they were going to get first place. I honestly thought on paper they had a worse roster than they did the previous season because, like,
I had them at third. So
they had it slightly better at the most. I think Vulcan was the upgrade in my opinion, but Sven wasn't playing well last season either. Sven wasn't playing well. They lost Svenskeren. Like Svenskeren and had to replace him with Blabber. Like, how can you imagine this team to be an upgrade in any sort of facet? Like, they looked worse.
But everyone said they always wanted a new bot lane. So
that's a theory. Like, just imagine, like, previous to this season, you say I want a new bot lane. So you said, okay, I'll do that, and you grab Keith and Key from LCK, and that's the two people you grab. Like, it makes sense on like to replace them. It doesn't make sense who they replace them with.
Oh, God.
Did I miss any discussion about today's... we did not talk about...
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about the LEC yet. We're going to get to that. Actually, oh, God, man, God.
My thing about... obviously, let's think about... I think Hylissang actually played pretty well in a lot of these games, which is something I think that he's been inconsistent throughout. He's a hit or miss Blabber MVP. Oh, this guy is about to... Like, you know what? I really understand. A lot of people are saying this, so
Josh
I'm just...
is my friend.
Josh is not
Josh
your friend.
hates me.
Josh is nobody's friend.
Josh, I love you.
But
Blabber should have been the MVP after today. He's popping off today.
I don't want to say he did, but he did play pretty well this season.
Gosh.
Like, I think a lot of his stuff, like, he played moderately well this series. But I think that if we look at the Fnatic game, obviously, I think the big thing about it, first of all, was Hylissang playing a lot better than he has had really good games, obviously, but he's the most inconsistent player in the league. And I think that him coming on to a game where I think he played well every single game of the split, the series, is something that you're not going to even get. Keith, just nuts. You know what? When they picked him, I want to before I go finish this. When they picked him up in 2015, Team Liquid when they replaced Piglet, as much as I hated it,
we went to go see that game.
No. I bought a ticket specifically to go see Piglet, and they didn't play him. They played Keith instead, and I was very upset about it.
Okay, so this is how it happened. He bought the tickets, and then like 2 hours later, a news article comes out like on like .esports, and it said Team Liquid chooses to bench Piglet for Keith going into like week 5.
See, that's my thing about it. Like it's sometimes I feel like they don't prioritize the right picks on Hylissang. Like I don't like his Alistar. I don't think his Alistar is very good. I think
Hylissang works good with Rakan.
Like I think the big thing, his Thresh, he the kind of more hyper engaged champions that they play on him, I think he plays really well on. I think he's a really good player in general. I just think that first of all, he's not always good. Like I think it's not even the picks, but I think that's a big portion of it. Is the problem is they don't always get him the picks that I feel like he's most comfortable on. Mm-hmm. At the same time, like maybe it's a lack of shot calling. Who's the shot caller in this team again? I think it is
Whippo. Whippo said he does a good big large amount of it.
See, my big thing about it though is if you actually like. It's bad decisions. It's not mechanical differences. Sometimes it is, but for the most part, it's usually just like his mind just doesn't exist in some games.
His mind is telling me.
No, isn't it? That's not what I was going for.
His mind is telling him yes, but his body's like, stop. No, I'm gonna throw this Nautilus hook, and if I die, you know.
No, they picked a hyper scaling comp. Like Maokai is one of the best scaling tanks in the game. Azir's a really good insanely good scaling champion. For some reason, like Reckless was completely.
He was 6 games of Senna.
He was worthless in this series. He was worthless in this series.
He off in that last series.
Again, he was worthless in this specific series.
Yeah.
He doesn't get he gets a bye obviously because he played well in the previous series, but he was not one of the more hyped up. I mean more impactful players in this series. I think that somebody who did actually do more. Like, who did more for the Fnatic team? Mm-hmm. If I had to pick anybody, I would say, honestly, yeah. Like, Arome honestly did more for the Fnatic team than Reckless did this series. Like, him consistently inting in every single game and running it down to the point where he just got, like, what's his name? He got Nemesis strong in most of the games was a big reason as to why they were able to win.
Oh, yeah. People really like, Malphite. But, I mean...
Malphite's not a bad pick ever. I think the big thing about it, obviously, they had a full AD comp at that point. They had no AP scaling, and a Malphite is literally the problem in terms of just, where is this man going?
I put my phone in the charger.
Okay, I thought you were about to walk around my house real quick. I was not okay with that.
Walk around and steal like black people do.
I don't think you're allowed to say that, but I'm going to let it go. It's not my channel that's going to get mad. I'm stealing these, too. I'm stealing some Skittles.
What I was going to say was, it's okay. If you guys didn't watch LCS back in 2017, all right. So in 2017, Cloud9 faced Dignitas in the quarterfinals, and I lost. And then later on, Dig lost to TSM, CLG, then lost to FlyQuest again. And then kind of like look at it like that. I mean, just use that as a tipping point. Okay, so this time around, Mad Lions get an upset over G2, and then look completely horrible against Fnatic. So you could look at it two ways. Either did C9 play incredibly horrible to make Dignitas back then look that much better, or did G2 just play that much worse to lose to Mad Lions? Because to be fair, in the series, G2 were still doing things really well, and Mad Lions were almost about to lose too. Remember, like 5 auto attacks from them losing that Nexus. Like, I think Mad Lions just played better on the day, because usually when big upsets happen like that, later on, that team that upset that good team usually loses right afterwards, and it was proven today. Like, I just think that G2 played extremely worse, and it's not a case of Fnatic is like insane. It's just that Mad Lions, they're now exposed. They only had one good series, and that's how you lost.
They didn't really, like, Mad Lions played pretty well, but that was an exceptionally terrible series on T2's part.
Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that doesn't make Mad Lions, all their previous mistakes, look better. It's more like, oh, G2 played really bad, that's why you won. And it was shown today that they're still not that good. It's just how that...
No, the reality of it is, like, obviously, if you look at the G2 series, G2 did not look very... Like, they didn't look like they were on point. Like, the only person who I think was playing to their normal standard was probably...
Perks?
Perks was the only one that I think played to the standard that I believe that he's usually playing on. Like, the rest of them, in my opinion, played below the standard that they... Like, There was no excuse for Caps to play like that in any series.
He was
like,
playing like he was
he
drunk.
played terrible. the Ziggs ulti, I mean W away from the Nexus, like all the
just
things.
Hit it and they could have won.
I think he think that you could hit it with W or
but
something?
they didn't have to. No, it was, Mickey did a magical journey and he took it. So all that time he took taking the magical journey, he could just been hitting the Nexus.
There was a lot of mistakes in that whole series, but for the most part, I don't think that G2 should ever be in a situation where they have to rely on a backdoor or anything like that to win a series.
But it was crazy though, because even putting them in that situation, Mad Lions are still not winning the game though. People don't understand that. They were still, what's that word they were using? Like routing them around the map. Like they were still doing things to make Mad Lions like 5 auto attacks from losing. Like there's nothing they did in that series really impressed me over than Shadow and Karzi. They played extremely well.
I don't think any of them played extremely well. I think that Karzi had pop-off games. I think that Kaiser was just, what's it called? Kaiser played...
He was consistent.
Consistent? I think that I didn't really like the picks they put him on, but again, Humanoid being on this team has been one of the bigger...
upswings?
It's been something I've actually enjoyed on this. Like, I think he's played pretty well towards the... Like, he played really bad at the beginning of the split. I think that he was horrible, and he was probably in a bottom 3 for the mid laners for, like, probably 60% of the season, but I think he's... I don't know. It wasn't even the picks. They didn't generally swap up the kind of picks they put. I think they kind of...
He was always on Rise and Nautilus.
Well, I'm just saying, the picks are not the difference maker. I think he's generally played a little bit better, and that's been one of the bigger reasons as to why they've been able to turn it around. But I don't think that they're good enough to... I don't even think they're a top 3 team. I think that, first of all, I think Fnatic and G2 are the top 2 teams. Even with the state that G2's in, they're obviously still a better team. Mm-hmm. I think that Origen is probably better than them too.
Oh, we can talk about that series too.
Which one?
Origen clapping Rogue's ass.
Oh, I mean,
Good
I guess.
Lord. That was a shellacking.
The problem is literally just... I will never understand how Larson played so poorly. Like, Larson is honestly, in my opinion... I mean, Larson, in my opinion, is not even worse.
He's not. He's actually comparable to Bjergsen in some days.
Well, I'm just saying, for the most part, I don't think he's worse than Nukeduck to that extent. I mean, and even then, like, Nukeduck doesn't even... Wait, what are you doing?
I'm trying to see, because I'm trying to remember something. All right, so this was like the closest game. Game one was like the closest game. But...
No, what I'm saying is obviously look at these picks every single time. Like the problem was mostly the picks that they gave Larson. Like Larson, Azir into Nukeduck is not a good pick. Azir gets completely stomped. Like he can beat him early game, but he gets completely stomped out late game.
Game 2, what did he have?
Game 2, it was
Corki to Cassio. Oh god.
Well, no, Corki actually does pretty well in this kind of matchup. The big thing about it, obviously, is Cassiopeia has a pretty decent poke, and she can miasma his W away, which is the reason as to why a lot of people don't like this matchup. But I think that the early game presence that you can have with the shove in, and then you're able to roam around late, like, what's it called? You're able to shove them in and then get that early game back. It's always a consistent thing. That thing is always, like, when you play that specific matchup, you can always shove early.
I think Destiny being on Zillion support is good for him. Like, that way he doesn't feed.
Destiny, no. He's not. He's gonna feed regardless. He's trash. But
really, it's not that bad.
He's not been that bad. But I'm just saying. What is going on?
Good lord, his dad's been mad.
I don't know. But I think that the big thing again, obviously, the big thing about it is Nukeduck is a better player than Larson, but the extent to which he won most of the series
was
is
not indicative of how.
Larson no. It's just not been the same thing. The picks that they gave him were always in favor of I don't think he got one positive matchup that entire series. I think the best one he probably got was the third game with the Echo versus Azir. But for the most part, they literally consistently gave him a losing matchup into a mid laner who's a hyper carry at that point. He's able to take over games if he gets ahead. I think that, like, we're not... I don't know if I would say... Like, again, I don't think that Rogue is a bad team. I think that Rogue is probably the fourth best team. I think they're actually better than Mad Lions. But they just genuinely didn't show it in the drafting phase. They didn't show it in that game specifically either. Like, Han Sama was the only person that I would say played up to the standard that they usually play at. Finn was terrible. Finn was not good. I think Larson sucked too. It's like it really like the bot lane was pretty much the most positive thing about this series.
Even they were not like
they didn't have to win. They usually got the better scaling match. Like again, they got the better scaling matchup each and every single time. They didn't put upset on a hyper carry in any of the games, from my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he consistently just got, He consistently just got the better scaling ADC and did really well in lane. Like, he didn't lose a single lane. That's, well,
that Nuke Duck game where he was popping off, like, that
lose the last
that was his best game all split long. He's not like that. See, Nuke Duck, I don't know.
Nuke Duck is what do you mean you're not hyped on Nuke Duck?
No, he feels like, I don't know, he's good in general. Like, he's like Bjergsen to me. You don't, like, get super high on him, but you don't get super low on him either. It's like, they give him all the resources, and he very...
That was the worst description of Bjergsen I've ever heard in my... Like, explain to me why you don't get high on Bjergsen.
He always get... Nuke Duck and Bjergsen...
No. Go to... Okay, though, if you just want to go to... Nuke Duck literally carried, like, 3 games that series.
Just a series, but, like, you know, he always gets the draft resources, and sometimes he doesn't look
It wasn't even like they prioritized... Like, the problem was that they literally just never prioritized giving Larson a good pick. They literally never prioritized it, even though they knew the capabilities that Nuke Duck had in terms of just ability to take over the game. That's not on Nuke Duck's fault. Nuke Duck is a good player. And the reality, like, he was able to take over the game because he got these picks.
You know what's weird, though?
What?
They never give Alphari any resources. They only put him into Nuke Duck.
Okay. This is how it works. Again, I say this a lot. I think the big thing about it is you can't keep top lane from getting too much CS because they will always get CS for the most part. I think that's a big thing about it. Obviously, Alphari stopped getting CS in most of the games because he was playing hyper-aggressive early game champions like Renekton and stuff. Like, I think that for the most part, top laners are always able to get lane CS, and they're able to shove out these lanes because of the ability to have TP. That's the big difference, and that's why you're able to, like, they won't contest, they will never, you'll rarely ever see a top laner ever contest CS mid, even if he's there. He usually won't CS it. You usually, like, he'll shove down, like, if he goes to mid, he'll get in there, and then he'll let the ADC CS it, or the mid laner. Because they're able to contest the bot lane CS even because they're the only ones with the ability to span the rest of the map and get there. When the TP is down, you'll see them more often than not start CSing again. But for the most part, when the TP is up, you won't ever see the top laner contest CS. And they'll always have a consistent amount of resources. That's why I don't think... Alphari's not really not getting resources. It's the fact that, like, he stops getting to the point where once he gets past his early game and he's not far enough ahead... Like on Renekton and stuff, he stops going to the point where he's trying to CS and get items. He's trying to force engages and trying to get them back into the game because he realizes the limited time he has to be able to take over the game. Like, he played Ornn into Renekton. He wasn't able to get the game going, so he tried to get that going by making sure that they were able to what's it called?
Win.
They were able to... No. He wanted to force team fights because he knows if it gets to late game, the impact that he has in comparison to Ornn is just such a substantial difference. You don't want to be in the game at that point. You don't want to be in a 30-minute game with Ornn as Renekton. Unless you're up by 17 kills at that point. And even then, he has like 4 items, so you can't kill him.
Ornn is so disgusting.
Well, it's not even just Ornn in general. You have to win against tanks. If you're playing a bruiser and you don't win against tanks, you're not going to win the game. Or not even just win the game, you're not going to be able to take over the series. Like, that's just my thought process on it. I don't think it's 100% always the case.
It depends. I think that Alphari is better in terms of how he impacts his team. Finn just kind of feels like one-dimensional. I
disagree with that completely. I think Finn's probably the best top laner in the league. Well, not best, but he's a top 3 top laner in the league. You don't think what top laners would you say are substantially better than Finn?
Besides Bwipo, Wonder, and Alphari?
I don't think Alphari is in that league. Like, I don't think I'd put Alphari on that. Like, honestly, I do think Alphari is pretty good. I think that Dan is also not as good as Finn, but I think he's pretty solid. I don't know. It's just a preference, honestly.
Yeah.
I think
he's not bad. I just think he only thrives on specific things you give him.
Well, I mean, everybody thrives on Ornn. It's not specifically that. It's the fact that he's just... I think he thrives in terms of just he's a better team fighter than most top laners are.
And Hansum is only good substantially on, like, Draven and Lucian. Why is
that is completely... I don't agree with that in the slightest. Hansum is good on everything. Hansum is a good ADC in general. They consistently put him on Lucian and Draven because they're hyper-aggressive early game ADCs, and he's good at being aggressive early game.
Hugo Zamp... That was a new person.
I did aggress. I think I exaggerated with the best top laner in the league. But
you're new. Hugo
no, he's not. He's not new.
Before? Is he new?
He's never been here, but I've seen him in your super chat.
Right? He said Finn was the best top.
I did agree. That was a little bit too much. I think Finn is a top 3 to top 5 top laner in the league, and I exaggerated. He's not better than Wonder.
But if you guys are following the LEC, XL want a new top and mid laner. If you guys haven't watched my news video, because you're not
are
part
you
of the
telling
Discord.
them because you think that there's no pro players in your stream?
What do you mean? Oh no, it's because make sure you guys, if you guys want to be notified when you miss out videos, make sure you go check the Discord in the description box below.
Oh, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, just check out the Discord, because sometimes YouTube does not notify you guys of videos, and sometimes when people have commented like in past videos, they said I never got notified of this. So I was like, oh yes, just join the Discord. It'll just notify you, just instantly.
Okay. So now that you're done, kind of advertising yourself
in your own channel, advertising. Crazy. Yeah, but join the Discord. We need some more people to talk to. Also,
you are still going on the.
If you ever want to join in a podcast where I just talk to you, you want to just tell me why Bjergsen is the best mid laner, and even though he's really not, but it's okay because you guys are in love with him. It's fine. It's fine. Even though Faker's better and he's won 3 World Championships, that's okay. I understand it. Just join the Discord, please.
Okay. No, he wants to say it about 3 more times, so I'll just be quiet for.
But yes, XL needing a new top and mid laner. I mean, Mickey could go back to the LCK. There are teams in the LCK with the gaming franchise that'll take what's that word? A shot with him because he's a veteran and he can probably mold some new players. Maybe this is me being really.
He doesn't have the attitude of somebody you'd want to mold new players, so I disagree with that in terms. I think that if you can't find a mid laner to put, there's absolutely no reason I would take a chance on Mickey just because of the inconsistencies he provides. He's not good enough to be like.
He's not good enough to ever even beat low tier mids in the LCK like frickin' who's on Griffin? UCal.
Low tier mids.
UCal's been looking pretty bad after KT Rolster.
UCal looked really good this year.
That's kind of sad though, because he actually did, but like it's not gonna matter because Griffin is so bad.
Yeah, I agree, but I think the big thing about it, obviously, first of all, is that Finn is not the best top laner, but I think that it's unarguable that he's been one of the better top laners.
He's not unskilled, like he's not useless. He's
not. And I forgot actually why we started talking about this, but
rogues suck.
Oh yeah, rogue is trash all around. I think that if somebody has to pick up what's it called, they have a lot of good players, but they just don't know how. They not only do they improperly put the right pick. Like if you're playing against Nuke Duck, you need to put priority on the mid lane picks, and they never did. They never got him a pick that, in my opinion, would work out.
Origen to me plays like Team Liquid last year. Because they have the exact same play style, except the players do things a little bit differently. They like to wait towards 20 minutes in, have a skirmish, and then you try to win. And then you transition into a dragon, then a Rift Herald, and then a Baron, and you win.
Who do I think is
who do you guys think is the LCS MVP? Actually, I want to answer your question with another question to answer the question. Actually, this is some biased bullcrap, and I hate Riot for doing this. So before I give you my MVP, these are Riot's MVPs. For who people are going to vote for. So, here's the people. Bjergsen, Blabber, Broken Blade, Froggen, Jizuke, Niski, Proud of Evil, Someday, Vulcan, and Sven. This is a regular split award. Why is Bjergsen there? Why is Froggen here?
Those are like... Okay, you're exaggerating a little bit too much how bad they were. Bjergsen was
not better than Ignar at all.
Okay, the whole I agree with that to an extent, but... At the same time,
should not. Okay, you're not going to disagree with Froggen being here. Froggen should not.
I don't think Froggen himself played bad. I think his playstyle is not beneficial to being on a team of like the caliber he's on. Like again, he's not the playstyle he has is outdated, and he forces the rest of his team to kind of coexist with the way that he plays. But obviously, Bjergsen is not the worst player to put up there.
I just don't think he deserves this split. Like he shouldn't be even in voting contention.
It's 10 players. 10 players. Like, I don't think... Yeah, Blabber... whatever. There's 10 players on this list, obviously. I think that if we're going to talk about the top 10 players...
Right? Okay. Why is Bjergsen and Froggen there? Like, there's no closer.
Closer should not have been on there. I don't
Ignar should be there over... At least Froggen.
I think Ignar I can understand. The rest of this list is completely fine.
I think that so unimpressive to split.
He was still the second best player on a team that almost got second place.
I know this is not about that. It's about
what is it about then?
It's about the most valuable player.
He was the best player on the second best, almost the second best team in the league, and you're somehow saying that he doesn't deserve to be up there. What knowledgeable?
I agree with Broken Blade.
Broken Blade was not better than Bjergsen this season.
He was better than for 6 straight weeks. He was better.
Okay, there's how many weeks in the league? Tell me right now.
There's 9.
Add them up.
You're saying he was better in 6
weeks? Yeah.
I
I can point out Ignar should have been up there. I don't think Broken Blade is better than Bjergsen this season. I disagree with that. I think Froggen should be off there, even though I think the problem was the reason that Golden Guardians was able to make it to playoffs alone was because of
Closer.
Was because of a stupid what's it called?
Closer.
No, I'm sorry. The reason that Dignitas was able to be in contention, the only reason they almost made it to playoffs was because of Froggen. The rest of his team was trash. Like,
what's because of Froggen? I wasn't saying
who
maybe
else?
It's Johnson or no. Acadian actually
did not play enough games to get them into playoff. He didn't play enough games.
No, I know, but like
I'm saying the reason they won, the two best players on this team were Froggen and Johnson. And Johnson, although I think he played really well, did not have as much of an impact in as many games as Froggen. Because Froggen at the beginning of the season won them probably like 6 games. Like not 6 games, but like 4 games. If you want to keep
Bjergsen, that's fine. But why? I just don't agree with Froggen being there.
Froggen was like it's. I'm saying. I don't think he should be up there either. I just don't think that it's as crazy to me as you're saying. I don't think it's as crazy to me as you're saying because again, you can make an argument for most of the people on this list. You could say Jukse had such a bad beginning of the season that you wouldn't.
Jukse is debatable. You could not have him.
I think Jukse's end of the season was so good that it's undeniable that he should be up there. He was the best player on this team.
You wanted Sven.
I think Sven or Vulcan should be the MVP in my opinion.
Someday. If you didn't have a C9 member up here, someday
is the not only the first C9 member I would choose to be MVP, but I would pick Sven or Vulcan. I think Johnson outperformed it and Acadian still had an impact. Johnson had a lot of good games. It's hard for me to say. I think that Johnson was consistently better, but
I mean, like,
but the games that Froggen actually popped off on, he won. So. I don't know what you would say because Froggen, like again, I think that if we say who is the better player, I think that again Johnson is the better player. But like, do you give it to the better player or the person who won you more games? Because I think that most of the early game season wins came off of Froggen's back.
I would say Froggen had more of an impact when he was on Golden Guardians. It was very noticeable. He should be an MVP. It's just that this split.
I mean, the beginning of the season, I think that a lot of people had Froggen as the second best mid laner at the first.
Oh yeah, because he got that thing.
The first 3 weeks, he was like the MVP. Like everybody's like, this is the top 3 mid laner in the league right here. And then at the end of this
week 1.
It was the first 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
First 2 to 3 weeks, he played really well. I think that's the big thing, and that's where most of their wins came from my knowledge.
But I mean, is that enough? That's like
that's the only reason you would put a team that almost made it to playoffs up there. Like Johnson was the better player. I disagree with that. Mm-hmm. He played better throughout the entire season, but he didn't get them as many wins as Froggen did. So like, do you give it to the better player or do you give it to somebody who consistently got you wins?
This thing though, I don't think he would be here if it started Acadian. If they played Acadian, I think Acadian would have actually been there over him.
Maybe. I mean, if Acadian started at the beginning of the season, I can understand that, but Acadian did not. Acadian wasn't in enough games, so it's hard to say.
I'll say Sven is fine, Vulcan is fine, Sunday's fine, Power is fine,
Niski is fine,
Jizuke is.
I think Jizuke is fine. Froggen shouldn't be up there, but I'm not upset that it's up there.
Broken Blade had so many great games this split. He was actually insane. Like, people only remember that Kale top game. That's why he played great. He literally played insane. He was like the best player on their team they were playing through. Blabber, I think it's fine to be there. I think Bjergsen's only there because people like him. I
mean, Bjergsen again.
Any impressive games he impressed you with this?
I could point out a lot of them, but
playoffs.
The Zillion game.
Beside that one.
Well, I could point out a few other, but I'd have to look them up. I just don't know them off the top of my head.
I just think beside that game, he hasn't
had a lot of. He was a better. He probably consistently he played really well throughout the entirety of the season. You're trying to say that I don't think Broken Blade had more of an impact than Bjergsen did this season on TSM. I think Broken Blade was a really good hyper carry, but I don't think they won a single game where Bjergsen wasn't playing really well.
It was the first 3 games. Yeah, it was.
Well, I'm just saying I don't think they really won a game where Bjergsen didn't play well. The reason for that is because the fact that he is the key to most of their wins. Like he is the difference maker for most of the wins that they get on this team. Broken Blade played like I'm saying I don't agree with this list. I don't think it's right, but at the same time, it's not out
of the world
wrong. Like I could see reasons why you could make where Froggen could be in the top 10. I could see reasons why you'd put Bjergsen up there. I'd put Ignar up there and replace Froggen with that, and I'd put maybe a
closer.
Santorin closer.
You put Santorin?
This is the top 10 out of the entire league, and we're talking about players that made the playoffs, and the reason they made the playoffs. Power Vivo probably would make it though.
Would you put Meteos?
I don't think Meteos would have been up there. I think the reason I wouldn't put Santorin up there is because Power of Evil had so much more of an impact.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I put Meteos is the same reason, but for Someday. It's hard. You can make arguments again. I just think that the list isn't terrible. I just think it's just not proper.
Now, if you ask me who my MVP is, based off like even today, it still stands as Niski. I don't think but I said outside of a C9 player because most people have C9 players. I would just say Someday.
My knowledge, my take on it still, it never makes sense to me, honestly. I just don't understand the reason as to why people think that, like, the reason that, I mean, replace the mid laner in Cloud9, I think they lose about two more games. I think Santorin was really good at the second half of the split, and that's the reason, like, the reason I don't put him up there, though, is because even at his really good end of the season, Power of Evil was the better player. Like, Power of Evil was just generally a better player than him.
For MVPs, I would say you have to count the whole split.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we point out the beginning of the season, I mean, Sven didn't even die.
Yeah, he didn't die for like the first 5 weeks.
He didn't die, and then honestly, I think if you look at the damage charts, it's always him at the very top. Even though ADC's generally.
You compare that to Power of Evil. Like Power of Evil, he was just, you could even tell in the games you're watching, he was just dragging
my
his
problem
team.
is, I think that if you want my honest opinion, who's the best mid lane? Like, bro, consistency, Niski probably wins. Highs, I think that Jizuke wins. I just think that there's not an ADC that competes with either Vulcan or Sven, but there are mid laners you can compare to
compare Niski's impact.
Compared to Niski, yeah. Like, Power of Evil dragged his team into the playoffs.
Really?
Jizuke dragged his team into the playoffs at the end of the season.
They were walking corpses of death.
Niski played really well, but he didn't drag, like, he was not dragging a completely worthless team to the playoffs. He dragged a consistent, like, he played well and kind of functioned well with a team that was all around already good with or without him. He just made it to where they're even better because he was on that team.
But Bjergsen didn't drag his team to the playoffs.
I mean, they only had they had an all-around good team.
Bjergsen was, like, the sole reason you won or the sole reason you lost?
Well, I mean, yes.
Given how many
I don't think he ever... No. Again, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't even think he out-CS'd Kabe for the most part. They all had pretty solid CS. I don't think they really... When they designate resources, I think it went to a...
It went to Broken Blade for a lot of the weeks.
Broken Blade went to the bottom lane. That's the reason. Because of the reason he was in the bottom lane CSing, no one could really take it because they couldn't get to the Baron and be able to get to that stuff in time. So Broken Blade was getting that CS.
You know, I was thinking about this. If Immortals make the playoffs, I would put Soaz somewhere up there too. I think Soaz was actually a decent MVP candidate.
I mean, if he could have got them into the playoffs, the reason they were in there was because of him and was because of
Dick Smithy, right?
Or
Apollo. Was Apollo when Apollo came in? He made a difference in the team when he came in.
Sixth best ADC, I'd say, was Apollo. So it's hard.
Debatable fifth.
Maybe. I'm just saying it's hard for me to put him up there because if we're gonna have an ADC up there, I think Sven is the only one that could really earn it.
Yeah.
Sven is the only one that has really earned the right to say that. Like, Johnson is the second best ADC.
But Johnson is not like, oh my god, Johnson played so good.
Johnson played so good. I think I would say that. Johnson played really good. I think that if I'm gonna have to put ADCs up there, it's Sven and then Johnson. And if I had to put mid laners up there, obviously it's the same mid laners they have up there. Yeah. Besides maybe Froggen and Bjergsen are the only ones I'd replace.
I don't think Ignar is gonna get enough credit for how well he played this split. Like, he had a few bad games.
My problem with Ignar, though, is the fact that
he's one-dimensional.
He is extremely one-dimensional. The problem is that the comps where they didn't really want to like an engage heavy support, they couldn't really function well with because that's the only thing he can play consistently. He doesn't function well on...
Like, standard supports who just stay in lane.
Well, I didn't like his Tahm Kench. I didn't like anything besides... Like, it just... There's ADC... there's supports that I think that he doesn't function well that are in the meta right now. And it's hard for me to say that is a good enough reason for me to say that he should be in the running. He was not the best... Like, the best support was Vulcan. Like, I think that Ignar was the second best. And it's... Like, you can't just do one at a role, but again, at the same time, the inconsistency or the lack of versatility that he has could be a reason to why I would say you could leave him out.
When I first saw this, I was like, Bjergsen? I was like, holy crap. What is even... Like,
it's
not that I don't think he should be here. It's just that there's other players where you can make much more comparable arguments for why they should be there over him.
Well, you can make arguments for I can make arguments for probably about 5 people why they should be over Bjergsen and Froggen.
The same thing, well,
but I can
Froggen.
Also make I can make arguments why Bjergsen should be in the top 10. Like, there's a lot of things you could do about this.
I mean, this is better than some of our previous years.
Well, no, it's not a bad year. I mean, again, I think Sven should get it. I really hope he does.
Oh yeah, that one guy who said the the NA first all LCS pro team. This guy said, "I want some variety." I was like, "This is not your mom's circus, you moron! Like, what the freak? If you want variety in an all pro team, go watch Neopets or something. I don't know." I think the MVPs is definitely Niski. Not to take anything away from Blabber, but Niski was insane the whole split. He enables Blabber. I even thought he was the main reason Sven Skaren got MVP last year. I did too, actually.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the Svenskaren. I think that the thing about Blabber was he was in a lot of the skirmishes. That I think the reason I kind of take a little bit away from Blabber is he was in a lot of these skirmishes that these top laners, the mid laners, and all these stuff were inside of. He made it to that. That's the one thing that I think he excels at, is that he's always in like towards the right part of the map, and that's one of the best qualities a jungler can have. But the problem is that I think that the reason I don't give him too much is because most of the fights he showed up to, they were already like a lot of the skirmishes are won based off the fact of the difference in HP that the top laner has, the difference in kits that the top laners and all the mid laners and stuff have. Like, he showed up, and I think that they were gonna win most of the time. I think he's in the top 10 because of the fact that he was in the fights. But I think I don't give him as much credit because I think that the more impact, most of the skirmishes that they won were based off of the other person in the skirmish.
Or even today, like, what's that caster's name? Azael? Yeah, Azael even said, like, certain games, Cloud9, even without getting objectives, they're just winning because they're just winning, like the laners are.
I don't want to say that, again, he has an impact on the game. But the problem is, again, a dominant top laner, a dominant mid laner, they usually get kind of solid picks for them. They usually win the skirmishes, which means it's beneficial. It makes
the jungler look better.
It does make him look a little bit better. I do think I'd still keep him on the team. I honestly, though, like, as much as I don't want, like, I know a lot of people aren't going to want to say it, I would, like, you could replace him with a lot of junglers, and I think they would look, like,
MVPs
good,
too.
like, as good, if not better than him, because I don't think his quality or his ceiling is as high as a lot of these junglers.
Now let's play a different game. So, we know that MVP is taken from the regular split, right? So now, take what you know about the playoffs right now and factor it into all these players now. So
if we have to look at the playoffs,
now we look at the playoffs. So Frog is not there, so Frog is out.
So if we're just
Sunday's out too.
Someday, I mean, I feel bad for him.
He played tilted for after the C9 series. He was not the same. He was like, crap. We just freaking suck.
I think if I had to pick the best players so far, I think right now,
ooh, that's because that means you're debating if Licorice should be here too. Licorice could be over Frog.
I mean, you literally have to put all 5 of the C9 members in there.
I know, but that would mean because I
like
agree
if you're caring enough about the playoffs, they obviously, for the most part, all of them should be. I think players that should be up there. I think
like Bjergsen. If we're going by playoffs, Bjergsen should be here then.
I think that you'd have to put what's his name, TSM.
Dardoch.
Like Dardoch played pretty well, but I'm not talking about him.
Kabe.
I think Biofrost played pretty well. I think that the top players on TSM right now are Broken Blade. Mm-hmm. Right now, Broken Blade played extremely well. Licorice clapped him. I mean,
he was not the same after that.
Yeah, that upset me a lot because honestly, I think in my opinion,
he should have been the first.
Someday played better than him in the regular season, and then Licorice just handled him. Like that's just the reality of it.
No, but it's so weird that people were like, "No, Licorice shouldn't be there," and then the next day afterwards, Licorice beats him so bad. People were like, "No, people."
Well, I mean, the reality is, it's not always about the 1v1 to say whether or not somebody should be in the top 5, like, should be the best top laner. Because, like, Licorice is undeniably a top 3 top laner in any situation. You can't argue him out of the top 3.
But it's just like, I was mentioning that people said he shouldn't be there, and then the next day he proved why he should be there, but it makes Someday look worse.
What I'm saying is, Someday played better in the regular season. Licorice clapped him, so it kind of validates the people who say that he should have been there.
Yeah.
In reality, I think that it shouldn't have an implication on whether or not he played better in the regular season, which he didn't. I don't know if he played worse, but again, it's about the impact. Someday had a bigger impact on his team because his team was so much worse, and I think that's the only really difference you could say about Licorice. Licorice was not. It's hard to say that Licorice was worse.
He played weak side a lot.
I mean, he did
because of the picks they gave him.
I don't know if he played weak side.
He got weak side in like almost every single game.
That's
except for a few.
definitely not true.
Because like if you wanted to go for it, because people in the factor it's regular season award. That means someday played the best, so he should be on the first All Pro team.
It's just like it's not about playing the best. It's about that he was the most impactful first team. That's what I will say.
And even so, if you're counting the playoffs now to factor in MVPs, well, Froggen definitely.
You're saying we're only counting the playoffs. So
no. Like you're taking the players who are remaining and you're factoring their playoff performance.
If I'm gonna put people into the playoff, like from the playoffs, what's it called? I'd put Jizuke up there. Obviously, I think Jizuke. I think all the C9 members. They
stay. I would say they're staying. It's hard. So
that's 6 players right there.
I would keep Ignar there.
I'd put Broken Blade up there still. So that's 7. Who else would I put up there? I mean, there's not really been too many impressive players for the most part. I think that FlyQuest obviously they should still keep Power of Evil up there. Mm-hmm. Like, the reality of it is, I think that the big thing about it from the LCS, like the reason that I think that like a lot of the players are succeeding right now is because of the fact that, like, what's it called? I think it all comes down to team coordination at this point, which is hard for me to say which team player is better, because obviously I think that Someday works better than Licorice does in a singular environment, but not only did Someday have a worse game than him that day, but obviously at the same point, like, even if he didn't, I think that Licorice would have looked a lot better because of the coordination from the enemy team. Mm-hmm. The enemy team in comparison to his.
When he freaking walked and tried to kill a Kindred.
Like, it's just I think that it's hard for me to judge, like, singular play. Like, it's easy for me to judge in the regular season because it all comes down to a lot of individual talent mostly. Yeah. It's harder for me because when it comes down to, like, best of threes, it comes more so down to picks and bans and all that stuff, and becomes a lot more meticulous,
draft orientated.
Yeah, Licorice is better. Should be the top him because you said he wasn't. No. Again, impact. I think Licorice probably did play better. I agree with that. I think the problem is
because it's so debatable. What is criteria for playing better?
Well, the thing about it is it's about impact at the end of the day, and that's just, I don't think you can argue that Someday had more of an impact in his games. And even
this is coming from me. I think Someday had a better impact than Licorice did in the regular split.
Well, I don't think many people disagree with that. I think the only people who disagree with that are people who are just kind of looking, like, you could look at him as a player, and I think that's one of the big things as to why people will put him above, but, like, I think that obviously it comes down to homers for C9.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who can actually kind of, like, identify the things that Licorice does, which are extremely useful to his team.
Yeah.
He's the single most unappreciated player on Cloud9 this season.
Yeah.
He's the one that a lot. He's not getting as much hype as the rest of the players, but I think that in terms of player base, he might be the second best player on that team. Like, if we're talking about just
mechanically too.
No, not even just mechanically. His abilities as a player, he's probably the second best player on Cloud9, right behind second best. Right behind Sven right now. I think that the reason that he's not succeeding as much right now is because of the state of top lane right now. We're not going to see a lot of top laners get to the top ranks because, like, maybe with the TP buffs that are actually coming in, but I think that the difference between, you know what the TP buffs are, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the TP buffs right now are at the early. It scales. The cooldowns on TP is going to scale from early game into late game. It gets down to 2 minutes, I think. Or less than that. I can't remember exactly what it gets down to in the late game, and you get home guards, like, automatically with the TP, and if you're in the home guards already, it stacks on top of it. So it gives a lot of, like, you have the ability to just constantly go to the side lanes and spam TP because it'll usually be up at the start of the next fight.
That's a buff to TP. Oh, that's
the reason that I think this might be a good thing for top lane is because you're gonna have a lot more ability to go to the side lanes and be able to be able to impact the game without actually being there, so you can actually farm a little more. But the problem with TP, again, the problem with top lane is the early game state. If you are a hyper-aggressive early game farmer in the top lane, you're giving up a lot of the dragons early because you can't afford, with your playstyle, to go down there and give up the CS and XP. So it's hard for me to say. Like, I don't really know which one.
I will give EG credit today. They did kind of fight for it in game 1 a little bit. But Jizuke flashing forward on Yasuo and then missing, and then Svenskeren missed every single Gragas pass that
Jizuke's Yasuo was horrible. Like, it wasn't even like...
I understand why they picked it.
I don't.
Knock-up? No, like, Gragas and Yasuo, if you knock it up,
knock-ups are not a reason to pick somebody into a Tom Kench. He can eat them right after the knock-up, and you can spit him out, and then right after that... Like, Vars can...
devour one person.
What I'm saying is, he doesn't... Who else are you gonna go on besides Vara? You can go on Syndra. Like, he counters Syndra. That's literally what I could see it as, because like the mid lane matchup becomes positive for Zuke because he can win the matchup, but he works horribly in team fights because you're essentially hoping that you can ult somebody. If you use Nautilus ult as the reason why you do it, you obviously can't get to them because Tahm Kench can eat it. They tried. Their thought process was obviously throw as many knockups as you can up so he can't eat as many people. But again, if you don't,
what's that word? It mitigates, right?
Mitigates.
It mitigates Niski's impact because if Yasuo is shoving you in, Niski's thing is that he likes to roam. So if you shove him in, he can't roam, and he didn't roam in this game. He roamed like pretty much. He didn't roam at all. So I mean, their plan to shut down Niski worked. It's just that everywhere else kind of won too.
I mean, their plan didn't really work. The only thing they really succeeded in was making him lose lane. But the impact that Syndra has is not fully based on items, though I think it's definitely a big portion of it. Should have stuck with his LeBlanc. LeBlanc,
did they ban it?
Weirdly enough, I know a lot of people like to say it, but weirdly enough, in my opinion, I don't think the Syndra pick is that bad. I actually think that Syndra, from the games that I see usually, I think Syndra usually wins that matchup because of the fact that even though she's immobile and all that stuff, it's one of the most telegraphed. The only way to get actual damage on there, you have to W in there, and even if you try and poke with E, like it's so telegraphed that you can always QE and always stun the LeBlanc out of it, and she can't react in time to get out of the W. The stun is long enough to where you can QE her every single time because it's so easy to get it. It's too slow, and then you can W on top of it. Like, I think that my opinion on that matchup has changed a little bit ever since I've seen it in action.
No, you can keep talking. I want to see something really quickly.
My opinion on the matchup has changed a little bit recently. Like, I'm not 100% sure it's a counter because it seems like, in theory, it could work because she's a mobile, but in reality, the W, like, the necessary reason for you to be able to pick for you to need to pick what's it called? To go into her with W, the only way you're going to get damage down on Syndra is if you W into her, and if you W into her, she can, like, unless you're terrible, you can react to it with QE.
Well, because in the first rotation, C9's bans were LeBlanc, Kalista, Sett, Kiana, Echo. You factor in, they just threw 3 mid lane bans at Jizuke. And, I mean, you have to ban Kalista on, well, C9's got the blue side, right? C9's on the blue side for this game one? Yeah. So you can't have red side counter picking with Kalista. That you just insta lose. And you don't want, I mean, I would have just gave Kumo Sett. He wasn't going to do anything.
The problem is that apparently, I mean, a lot of the things I see in Korea, obviously, is Sett is apparently somebody they like to
flex
and they flex Sett into support, and I don't think
he's
that's
good support though.
He's not very good. He doesn't provide enough. The only thing he really has is the W damage is always going to scale. I got hiccups. Okay.
Game 2, I mean,
but for the most part, I think that, like,
they banned C9 banned Taric. Oh, I forgot. Kalista Taric is busted.
Kalista Taric's the single most busted combo out of all.
It's weird though because Mad Lions actually brought that out.
Who do you think C9 will see in the finals? I'm gonna say
personally, the C9 group said EG. I don't think EG are that good.
Okay, stop saying the C9 group like that represents Cloud9 because there's like 15,000 of them.
I know
it's not much.
I personally think that EG are not that good. Like last time, my video I was trying to say was that EG's rank is not representative of who they actually are, and I think that TSM is still the second best team. It's just that they're so inconsistent that it just doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is...
Oh, hi, Bile. I'm pretty sure you're new here. Yeah, you're new. How you doing? Thanks for coming.
Hello. You turn into a robot every time you see
me. What do you mean?
Name.
You have to welcome new people.
No, you just kind of like...
Because he's new here.
You welcome him in by just kind of letting them flow into the conversation, you weirdo.
Oh my god. That's why you don't have girls.
That is probably not the only reason why I don't have girls.
But me, I'm the taken handsome swab. Right? Is that the word?
I think the big reason as to why I think that... first of all, EDG loses in pretty much... The C9 group is like 10 normal people and like 500 idiots. I assume he's from that then.
Oh.
See, the problem is that he's part of the 500 idiots.
I'm part of the 10 normal people.
You're not normal.
What?
You're not normal. That's the problem here. Like, I don't know... No, it's not a problem. Whatever.
500... Dude, I swear it's literally... there's a guy, I swear, he posts like he's high. I am not... His posts are so retarded. I'm so mean. But...
Oh, she's so
gosh.
funny.
This man straight up said, "Oh, good lord, I don't want to say it because it's like they were mad at me that I was right about the C9 roster when they were like, oh, I'm leaving this roster and Sneaky's gone. Well, then why are you hearing a group of Cloud9 members in? If you're gone, then see you later. Goodbye." But no, C9 started winning. Oh, it's the podcast guy. It's Lyle. Lyle even said that in grocery stores you still have to work. I was like, really? Because they're considered essential.
They're definitely essential. Like you can't get food without grocery stores.
Hey Lyle, how you doing, man? It's been a while, man. How you been? But yeah, we're just talking about C9 versus EG. Someone asked, you asked, who do you think C9 will be in the finals? I think it's C9 versus TSM.
I think that's probably the case too. But again, with there's inconsistencies with how well with how well TSM's been playing. And honestly, if we look at recency, I don't think Evil Geniuses does not look worse than TSM's in their current state right now. I think it's going to be really close. And honestly, we're still forgetting about FlyQuest. Like, it's not like they don't exist anymore.
I don't know. I just think FlyQuest are going to try and beat TSM and then lose. And then it's going to be TSM versus EG. So the third place match is most likely going to be EG versus TSM.
Yeah.
And I think that TSM is the worst person for Cloud to go against because historically, C9 likes to play fast. And then if you have fast players and you have players like Bjergsen who can just hold that aggression in and not lose to it, that's a counter. I think TSM in a best of 5 directly counters Cloud9. I think it's going to be a problem. That's why I don't want TSM to be in the finals.
I don't think... The problem with it is, obviously, the big reason as to why I think that their counter, it's not because of the hyper-aggressive playstyle are able to keep them back, is the fact that the differences in how they play, first of all, Licorice actually, laning-wise, is worse than Broken Blade, in my opinion, which would be a big difference for me. That's probably the only top laner that I could say that's the case with. Mm-hmm. On paper, TSM should beat somebody like FlyQuest and Evil, but they always drop the ball in matches. They should. They've not been playing well. Like obviously, if you look at just even purely the way they've been playing against most of these bottom tier shit, like not even bottom. Like 100 Thieves is not bottom tier, but like
this is the way TSM lost to
the way they played against 100 Thieves was terrible. Like it was a lot of just purely just mistakes on their part. A lot of there's so many drafting mistakes between each one of the teams. Like right now, the only team that's properly drafting right now is like Cloud9 and FlyQuest, in my opinion. I think they're the two best drafting teams right now. I think that, the reality is that TSM probably will beat them, but it would not, honestly, if TSM got 3-0'd, I wouldn't be surprised. They have such...
you mean of, FlyQuest 3-0, just straight up sweep them?
Yeah, there's so many problems with the Cloud9 roster right now. So many miscommunications between them, it seems like. I don't know for a fact, but it seems like miscommunications that I could see them losing the series easily.
Because Dardoch is doing to...
They're putting... TSM will destroy Fly in top lane. Looks... Yeah,
no, he's new. I know he's new. How you doing, bro?
You don't need to do this every time. Just just agree with their conversation and then go on from there.
Make sure you guys join the Discord so you guys can get notified because YouTube likes to not notify people of my freaking videos I put hours of work into.
Okay, so... I agree. I think Broken Blade mechanically and as in terms of just laning wise, he's the best top laner in
It's weird though, a Turkish top laner being the best mechanical. That is just.
It's not like NA ever produces good top laners. The Licorice is the only one.
What are you talking about? We've had Dyrus.
Dyrus is good for his day, I guess.
I never thought he was good. I didn't think he was good.
He was okay for his day.
Clear reason why TSM would lose games, but.
That was one season. He was one of the better, more consistent players for most of the season he was on there.
If you told TSM fans you need to replace that guy, no, he's part of our family. Some weirdos.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to normal conversations. I think that I agree with that 100%. The big difference is going to be the fact that Broken Blade is going to demolish this lane. Whoever you throw at Broken Blade, he's going to make them 0-3. Because it's not even just late. It's even if they're down in CS and he doesn't actually kill them, they're going to be down by 16 CS, by 60 CS or something. Because he has so much of a stranglehold mechanically on this lane. There's no one that, they could throw Viper or they could throw Solo at him or they could throw anybody at him. It don't matter who.
I think FlyQuest is better at drafting than TSM. FlyQuest, you know how we talked about comfortability? FlyQuest loves to give their carries comfortable picks, like Azir.
Just because they only have 2 carries.
I know, but TSM is not willing to do that.
The thing about it is, on TSM, you have 4 different players who I think could carry at any given moment. And the problem with FlyQuest is you have 1 to 2. So it's obviously, you're going to prioritize Power of Evil every single time you can because he's the best player, the only good player on your team.
Who did they primarily go for in some of their games? Because I'm trying to look at their drafting phase. It's still pretty. I'm saying it's bad. People always complain about it. It's not that bad. You guys need to stop that. Drafting phase is not the reason why most teams lose.
It is definitely a big reason why a lot of teams can lose.
I think people are overrating it.
I don't think it's overrated. I mean, again, I think it's overrated to an extent by some people and not by others. It's hard to say depending on it depends on the group.
I just think that draft always gets overblown. Okay, here's my thing with draft. I'll just go on a little, not a tangent. It's A coach gives you his players a draft to play. They're the ones who execute it. So if they execute it perfectly, the draft is really good. If they play it bad, the draft was horrible. Like it's there's never an in between. Because people always criticize draft. It's not. The players should be good enough to perform what's given with them. That's literally it. Because Chinese players do it. Korean players do it as well. They don't really... Draft is like the last thing they think about. They think about, man, I have this comp and that's what I need to play towards. I don't think about, crap, my coach gave me Jarvan into freaking Lee Sin. That's the last thing on their mind. They just play the comp. I think North America needs to stop doing... Like, the draft is fine. All these drafts are fine. What is the problem with any of these?
So, I don't want my opinion to be shared with his. I want to point that out there. I don't have the same opinion as him.
He's like, no black people's opinion on mine.
Okay, you also can't say that. You got to remember that. So,
okay, but this TSM draft, look at this. They've got... this was a game 1 against 100 Thieves. This is like... it's just not a matter.
Okay, so you're saying that this is a completely fine draft in your opinion and that you think that they did not lose because of this draft?
You give Broken Blade the carry. Kabe's... You give Kabe a comfortable ADC where he doesn't die.
You can't just generalize things because, again, at the end of the day, the reason that they're going to win or lose is because of the fact that you can't... Look at the Wombo combo on the side of 100 Thieves fight. They have 4 different forms of engage with a really good... And if you can keep them CC'd for even a little bit amount, MF is able to shred them. Worse so is you look on a TSM's fight, what's it called, and it's all pure
poke.
Peel back and poke kind of like comps. They have sustained damage in terms in terms of just pure auto attacks. Varus does a lot better against tanks and a lot better in duels than MF does. Like you're gonna
duels?
Not Yu-Gi-Oh duels because I think he's above the age of 12.
They should play Mordecai so they send him to the Shadow Realm. No one understands that joke. Oh my god.
Everybody knows what the Shadow Realm is, Joseph.
Okay, God. But I just think that the comps aren't bad. I just think that...
I think the comps are terrible on TSM's part. I think
the drafting has been pretty bad.
The problem is that they usually essentially just draft more so similar comps. I think they usually try and get Varus, Tom Kench if it's open, and then they kind of draft around that at that point because Bjergsen can play anything. And then Broken Blade can also play anything, but the meta suits like 3 characters right now. You can play
that one game did definitively should show why you should not be giving Broken Blade like OP broken carries like Callista.
Callista was good for like a patch, and then they completely gutted her again for another 7
What was this game? This game right here. These big-brained freaking 100 Thieves coaches.
What are you doing with these chips?
I was gonna eat them later on.
Well,
yes, you can go. You can
I'll buy you another pair. I'm starving.
These big-brained 100 Thieves coaches on this patch chose to give Broken... they counterpicked it, but they didn't ban Callista. They should have lost because of this. This right here. You guys can't see this, but it was a game where they picked... They let Broken Blade get the counterpick Callista.
The reason why Callista's so good, obviously, was because of the buffs to Halo Blades, on top of the fact that the ability... Aatrox actually does struggle a little bit into ranged top laners. He has one form of ability to get on top of them with the Q, W. And the Q is a little bit too easy to dodge fully. Like, it's a little bit harder to dodge against ranged champions that have a lot of mobility. So his only chance is to land a W at the beginning. And even then, she can just immediately jump out of it.
Like, look at this.
Broken
Blade has an item. Broken Blade has an item. And then someday is literally 137 CS in, 17 minutes in without an item. That's how far ahead he was. But these big brain coaches, I'm just giving Callista. I'm mind blown. Oh my god, man. Like,
you're mind blown by this?
Then game. So I'm gonna try and see the game 5 because I'm pretty sure if Snunt knocks up Bjergsen, then they can win. Because Zoe gets 2 attacks from what she does. Because he killed every single person instantly when they ran through. Go to the very, very end. So right. But they lost that team fight pretty handily.
They did lose this team fight.
I actually thought they could have won that right there. Alright, so...
You thought they could win right here?
I thought they could have won the team fight before. So Stunt is coming out. I don't know why he's not autoing, just hitting. Who does he ult? I don't know who does Stunt ult? Because he has it right there.
No, that was perfect. I'll tell you, what do you think guys think of Bjergsen's decision to bald? He's going bald?
I saw that. I thought the TSM thing just was freaking the Legends. I thought that they were just making a funny thumbnail. But he actually is bald.
I haven't looked at Bjergsen, so honestly...
I will show you.
Show me a picture of Bjergsen, because I need to see this. He does not...
Yeah. Bjergsen, he went from getting a beard to going bald. Now he's going to be like Reginald.
Disgusting. with the combination of both the facial hair, like he looked really good
Just normal.
normally. I don't know, like the beard was already, in my opinion, not a good choice. Like, and then like, is he going bald? Or is he buzz cut? Oh, maybe he's going bald. I don't want to say anything bad then. He is going bald. I don't want to say anything bad.
I don't know. He said he is when he grew the beard, he had never looked anything different from his like previous pictures in years. I mean, like, but he looked perfectly fine. Women were willing to sleep with him.
Women are willing to sleep with him regardless. He looks like his. God, that's 100% true. He looks like. Does look like a Zale.
Oh my god! But no one will ever know how I love watching these games live where you don't even know what's gonna happen. Like this game of just Mad Lions, not Mad Lions. Fucking what's the name? Dragon X versus Damwon. It was like, oh my god.
It was a very exciting game. But
like LS keeps saying that the drafting on LCK is super suspect.
Okay, game 2. I want you to game 2 real quick, and so I can show you. Or was it game 1 or 2?
Was it game 1 or 2?
Show me the comps real quick in game 1 or 2.
Those are the standings. So Genji's first, SKT, Dragon X.
This is it. So with the combination of Ghost.
This is great jungle.
No.
What season are we in?
No, that's fine. I'm saying, let's look at. If you look at Damwon's their picks right now are Kennen top, Trundle jungle, Showmaker on Galio, Ghost on Kaisa, Burial on Sen. So they're essentially hoping they really don't have they don't have a peel forward like a hard engage comp because their only abilities right now are Galio ult and what's it called? You ult on top of Galio with Kennen. Like, get ult on top of Kennen with Galio. And that's literally the engage right there. And then Set's only ability as a support is to ult the enemy away from your ADC. There is absolutely, like, again, this comp, again, can function as a secondary, like, as a defensive comp, but it doesn't work as well. There's absolutely no actual, like, if they engage on you first, like LeBlanc tries to get a pick, there's no stopping her. Because there's no actual like way. There's no character on this like this team's.
You're arguing that Dragon X's comp is better.
Dragon X's comp is substantially better. Like they have no
Galio to stop the LeBlanc.
You don't have Galio to stop the LeBlanc. The Galio cannot like he has to stand straight on top of her, which means his only ability to engage is.
But if he just channels it, you're not gonna jump in.
If he just sits there channeling it, then he'd be broken because he can just
No. Like if you channel it when you think he's gonna jump in, he's not gonna.
You can't. If you can predict it, then yes. But no, most people can't do that because it's almost impossible.
EU and Korea love flexing set to support. That's their thing. But no, this is what Ellis was saying. They're playing the exact same way.
No, this comp is horrible right now. First of all, not only it doesn't scale well, it doesn't team fight well. There's not a 1-3-1 because only one of your characters can function in the side lanes. And if Naguri, like again, like builds the way that he did, like he literally he built AP, so that means he can't even side lane. That's the big problem with this. So you can't 1-3-1, but you don't team fight as well as the enemy team because they have a front lane on top of the fact they have hard engage and the ability to peel back. Or so you only have the ability to engage. You only have the ability to engage that game. You don't have the ability to actually fall back, like because your ability to, like your what's it called? Your peel back ability doesn't really exist because LeBlanc can get in there and get out pretty well. Like you have to get the only way to do it is to get the perfect Kennen ult to be able to get a good engage off. You cannot peel back fast enough though. There's literally no stop. There's no because you can't flash with Galio W anymore. You can't flash on top of the LeBlanc to stop her. You can't ult fast enough on Kennen because it won't stack up the charges enough. So she can literally get a combo off and get out. That's how LeBlanc would work in this situation. Graves again. There's no one actually mobile enough on their team to be able to get on top of him. There's no one. There's not a tank on their team for Trundle to ult. So they're literally every single one of their picks was just not like properly thought through. Like they literally just didn't have the comp to be able to beat this team. That was the reality of it. It was a poor drafting choice on their point.
That's and that's the game they lost, right?
Yeah. They started losing because of the fact
that their coach
recently they've started to, it's the second
Dragon X picked Nami.
Yeah, it's the third game. The first and the third game are clear defined reasons as to why Dragon X was losing. Dragon X versus Damwon game
3. It's right there.
Game 3. Is this game 3? Yes.
All
So
this
the second
freaking
one.
crackhead comp that they're
So
playing.
essentially, what happens here is you have a peel back comp with Bard and Ezreal. Then you have Naguri, but you don't. First of all, you don't have anybody's like all of the abilities or ults that Silas can steal. You can steal Trundle ult. You can steal Aphelios ult, which is honestly pretty useless. It's honestly one of the my least favorite ults for Silas to steal. But you can steal a Zero ult, which can be useful in terms of just peeling back. But you don't have like the sustained DPS that like an Azir and Aphelios is gonna work. So you can't really afford to just like peel, but like and then Bard only apply like he only really in terms of pro play like gives away his ult. Like you can't afford to go out and get chimes, so you can't get that 65% slow on your meeps. So like in terms of pro play, Bard only provides his
He
his
would work ideally for just only playmaking support.
There's only one form of engage for Silas to steal, and it was Braum, which is not extremely good. They had a hyper carry comp built around like Aphelios because they had a Karma top. They had Aphelios, essentially what they did is they had a peel back team against the team that peel back poke team against the team that had a hyper carry ADC. So essentially all they had to do was get on top of the objectives, and there's nothing they could do because they couldn't actually get on top to stop them. That's the reason another reason they lost. They lost this series purely because they didn't even really lose. They got it to like 10 HP, but they couldn't finish it off because not only did Naguri not flash at the end to kind of secure the kill.
Actually, maybe I missed that. Did he?
No. Watch this. Naguri, look at Naguri.
Let's see how it starts first.
What's up? No, I'm sorry. Look at Showmaker's flash. Sorry. Showmaker didn't flash at the end of it. Showmaker still has flash, and he doesn't flash to get out of that situation.
Oh lord!
The reason they lost, first of all, the TPs were channeled improperly, so they were able to focus one person immediately.
Barrel, what are you doing?
No, what I'm saying
look at where Barrel is standing.
Burial was not the problem they lost.
No. Look at where he's standing right here. Naguri hits this. He goes around and he hits. He's standing melee range in front of Braum. And he can't get any autos
Braum
off.
jumped on top of him.
Oh lord, Barrel, what is wrong with you?
Barrel was probably one of the better. Barrel did what he could. They just didn't focus him because he doesn't do enough damage. Look at this right now. I want you.
Oh, Barrel.
Barrel played fine. I don't know why you keep saying this.
He's standing in front of the Braum. And
Braum jumped in front of him, you dork. You can't do anything about that.
Oh, he doesn't have flash either.
He doesn't have anything. Literally, Showmaker didn't ult. Flash. The ults were so. The TPs were so mistimed that they were able to kill the other person fast enough before the other person could get their TP. If they TP'd at the same time, there'd be too many people for them to focus, so they would have got more auto attacks off. There were so many misplays in this specific comp. I think Damwon is the better team. They lost because not only drafting comp differences, but also because of the fact that they were unable to properly play that end game. They could have won that series.
Do you know what we should eventually do?
No.
We should do a highlight video on Sword.
Why?
The best, put best top laner in the world.
Well, I don't really hate Sword that much, so I wouldn't do that.
Didn't KT beat SKT? Yeah, KT beat SKT. Well, most people still call him SKT. Sandbox is so garbage.
I don't think KT played SKT, did they?
Oh no, they did.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Telecom wars are always hype, except for last year. Last year was horrible. I feel bad. Sandbox isn't that the that has Gorilla? Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, Sandbox looked like garbage. What happened to them? They were good on one. This is what I'm saying with new teams. They're sometimes only good on one specific patch, and then the next patch you're seeing they have a lot of issues that we're just never glaring because of how good they're on one patch.
Okay, so they did replace their support, which Gorilla's not been good this season.
The support was Joker last year, right?
This is live at 3 a.m. Yeah.
Hey Quinn. Hey Tracy.
Hey, it's only 12. It's only 12 midnight here. That's why.
Oh, he's in Washington D.C. So what time is it for him?
It's 3 hours later for them. On the East Coast, it's a 3-hour difference.
He's the TSM fan.
Good. I got good taste.
Yeah.
I like TSM too. This season, I just think they're disappointing right now.
Good lord. Yeah, man. We're just talking about TSM and how Bjergsen now looks like a Zale.
Looks like what?
Bjergsen now looks like a Zale.
I don't want to make fun of him.
Oh, but lord.
I definitely shouldn't be making fun of nobody's looking right now.
I'm the best looking dude, obviously. Make sure you guys join the Discord. Actually,
You gonna say this every single
I'm
time?
gonna link this to you guys right now because you guys.
Okay, come here. Where are you trying to get it from?
It's in the description. I usually put it there. The Discord that we use for the channel.
There you go. Why are you trying to link it right now?
I'm gonna put it in the chat for people who don't have it.
I don't think anybody cares. No one wants to talk to you.
There he goes. You guys can join the Discord and talk to me because I'm lonely.
You are lonely.
But it's just like Joker was like high for them. Joker was like their shot caller. I don't know why they replaced. They replaced Joker with a more mechanically skilled player.
No, a better shot caller.
Really?
Worse mechanically skilled. Better than Solo or Viper, so I expect... Oh my god. Broken Blade is going to completely stomp that lane regardless of who they put there.
Like,
that's the reality.
They play Viper game 1 and they give him Aatrox and they get Broken Blade like set. He's going to get destroyed.
Not even really an opinion. Like, Broken Blade is just better than them.
Bjergsen looks like for... God. Know what it wants to look like Forgiven, dude. Forgiven? Oh my god. People... I was nice about it. I was like, maybe he changed after the army. No, he's still a giant crybaby.
Who?
Forgiven. Nope, nothing changed about him.
We didn't know he was a crybaby before. There was no indication. What do you mean?
Because people were like, oh, Dardoch changed.
No one knew about... Okay. So the information that was provided before, it sounded like he was just a bluntly too aggressive kind of person calling out somebody's flaws.
So they're just a bunch of pussies then.
That's what I thought it was at first. But
until Blippo had his stream, and then it kind of shed more. I don't know. It just because they did. To be fair, Schalke did play better after he left. They did at least win way more games. He thought that if he left and they kept losing, they were gonna call him back and be like, "Okay, we were wrong."
I don't think he ever said that was the reason he left.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't think so.
He did that with H2K. Remember, he left and then they needed him because when they started losing, and then they're like, "Oh, he's better than Freeze." So we'll just take Forgiven back. He probably thought that they were gonna keep losing. He'll quit. He'll get taken back. And the narrative that spun is, oh my God, Forgiven's the savior of Schalke. They made the playoffs. Well, it turns out they won after they lost him, so they didn't need him.
My big thing about it was it obviously wasn't Forgiven's fault that they started losing. I think that he played moderately well in a lot of their games. They did have a few bad games, but the problem was he could have played better. He could have played better in a few of the games.
Flexible.
He's definitely flexible. The problem is there's a meta that it doesn't suit him, so he wasn't popping off as much. Like in the previous metas that he usually played in, there was some sort of hyper carry or kind of character you could dominate the lane with. Mm-hmm. There's not really any of those in meta right now.
He called Yankos and Otawame chokers when they lost to Samsung Galaxy. Forgiven had the easiest group of worlds, had the easiest quarterfinal group, and he has the nerve to say Yankos and Otawame choked. They were not beating Crown, and they were not beating.
Okay.
Who's the guy?
My problem with Solo is the fact that if he is just a normal dude, like he works his way back up, I always just expected him to be humble because he was trash, literally trash for 90% of his career. All of a sudden, last season, I'm like, wow, this guy came from the complete dumpster and is like now an average 80 top laner. I'm happy.
And then he was actually playing really well.
I'm saying. If he's actually toxic, he doesn't deserve to be toxic. He has no right to be toxic.
Doko like alludes to it when he was coaching him. And he's toxic in solo queue, but he's not toxic to your face.
He's passive aggressive, which is the worst kind of toxic you can have for a team. Well,
it's weird though, because Santorin and Solo played on Gokon United, and now they're playing again on FlyQuest. Oh yeah, these narratives all come back full circle.
Are they coming back full circle? So if you look at the LCS teams right now, I want you to pick out kind of crazy. What do these teams look like?
Do you remember Apex? They had Ray on there at one point.
I'm saying it literally just shows. I love Ray, man. I think Ray is one of the best. Overshadowed by Licorice. Licorice is just a better player too. Like literally, all these players are just better than.
People kept saying, why don't CLG just swap out Ruin for Solo?
It would have been a good idea.
They might have actually made the playoffs. No, that's too generous for them. Do you know what's funny?
I mean, they might have. I mean, honestly, once they got Pro Belter,
they looked way better.
They looked better. They looked like a solid team.
That's because the most important people in the game are mid and jungle, and that was where the worst players were. The worst players, the most impactful players in their team.
Scouting grounds and Licorice took away. Oh, that is true. The Licorice completely dominated in the challenger scene when he was in there. He's always been pretty hardcore.
Oh, that's when he was on E. He was on E United with Gilius, Sazel, and Dandy was on there too, right? At one point.
United had
Dandy at one point, and then they had Gilius, then they had Zazel. Who was the AD carry? Definitely and Zazel were on there too. GBM was our mid laner. I remember. Good lord.
GBM was the Gold Coin United team, I think.
No. That was Phoenix. Phoenix was on Gold Coin United.
Oh, okay.
Who decide to look up?
According to Licorice, Solo used to be better than him, though. Real words from him.
No, he's being generous. Everyone says that because you don't just want to say, "Oh, this guy's fucking trash." I don't believe it. I know he said that, but I
Solo actually completely did well inside of the challenge. Like he was the second best top laner in my opinion. I don't think he was better than Licorice, but like I could see points where he could say that he could have been better.
Like look up Academy.
Solo was really good in Academy. He just didn't translate well into the pro scene.
Do they have Academy standings?
Academy standings? Why would you want to look at Academy standings?
I want to show you something.
Want to show me something?
Yeah. Do they have Academy standings? I'm pretty sure they have Academy standings here.
It should be
right there.
Right here. Why do you want to show me the standings for the Academy?
So
I don't care about that.
All right, and look.
Wow.
CLG suck at both the actual LCS and Academy. Holy moly. Dignitas were power ranked to win Academy.
The problem is the fact that
they got destroyed.
I think that they have a lot of not actual new players on their Academy team.
It was so funny that people were like, well, Dignitas Academy, they're gonna smurf on the whole league. And then, well, I mean...
What did Dignitas... I don't even know what Dignitas Academy has. They should have definitely smurfed on them. That is a pretty solid team. Apparently what he said was, he went to the scene telling himself, this solo guy's good, he's the one I have to beat. That is just the most cheesy, motivational thing I've ever heard in my life, and that's the type of person Licorice is, so I don't believe her for a second.
I've heard him say that, but the thing with that is, you don't just want to say... I'm better than him because it makes you look like, a cocky douchebag. Because if you say that, then you look like a dirtbag and then people don't like you. So you say the other thing. Well, he was better than me, but I beat him at some points. And it's like, Dignitas Academy has literal LCS players. And they can't even win Academy.
This isn't the Academy team, Joseph.
No, I know, but it's like Phoenix ADC.
So this is... Oh, he's the ADC for their Academy?
Yeah, he role swap, remember?
I didn't know that. Well, how could you expect this team that they have a bunch of role swap players?
No.
You expect them to be good?
They literally just have Phoenix role swap to ADC. That's it.
It was. They had what's his name too. Oh no, that he's not on the team. Never mind. Apparently, I'm wrong.
You're so cute and you don't know.
Shut up.
I was like, yep, C9 are in the finals.
I don't care. Like, again, my big thing about it is obviously I think this is one of the most underwhelming NA seasons we've had in a long time.
I think that we're the best region in the world and we're going to win Worlds.
Okay, well, I don't think that. Maybe, you probably actually do. But I don't.
Literally... no, people to know, this is how sports work. At some point, NA will win Worlds. It won't be anytime soon. So,
I'm saying that's kind of crazy to say because Guatemala's never won the World Cup. The World Cup. Not
soccer.
They've been pretty solid sometimes, but they've also never won the Olympics for basketball. I don't even know if they've ever played.
They said the Red Sox would never win baseball.
Never said that. They had already won before.
I know. People said the Lakers, after the whole Kobe thing, was that we were just washed up, trash. And after 10 years, we made it back to the top again.
Phoenix, Demonte, did have a Katie and Lorlo. So... Oh, well, yeah, they do it. They should have actually won. The problem was, Demonte, in my opinion, is one of the better one of the better mid laners in terms of just NA talent mid laners because there's not too many of those. I think that...
100 Thieves would disagree with you. They chose Ryoma.
That's not an NA talent.
Ole still suck. Ole.
The problem with the...
Support.
He was good at points. Like, the problem is that I think before he came to NA, he was good. The first season he came to NA, he was good too. I think that the abrasiveness that what's his name has Doublelift has is something that somebody as mentally fragile. I think that's a little too aggressive, but as fragile as Ole has is going to make him a lot worse.
Mentally unstable. Moron.
I did not say unstable. I said fragile. I didn't know which word would be the best.
Ole said once they beat Cloud9 in 2018 summer finals, he said he had to drink to deal with Doublelift.
Ole said that?
Yeah, he said it on the stage too.
That's also why TSM beat them, by the way.
Ole? Oh, is he mentioning Ole? Yeah, I can't remember.
What is he talking about?
No, we were talking just about Ole. He said that's the reason why TSM Academy beat them because Ole sucks.
Oh, sorry. I was like, what are you talking about?
I mean, Ole. I mean, it's just bad. If they had DeMonte, they would have beat us probably like on CG last year.
I don't know enough about the academy scene. I didn't even
No.
know.
He's saying that if 100 Thieves right now, for when they play TSM, had DeMonte over Ryoma, they would have beat TSM.
Wait, say it again?
If 100 Thieves had DeMonte instead of Ryoma, they could have beaten TSM.
Well, I mean, that's not surprising at all. I think DeMonte is substantially... Like, first of all, why does Ryoma... If he was a native import talent, I still would be like, why are you doing this? But at the very least, who cares? You're like... It's not like you're wasting anything on him, but you're wasting an import slot on Ryoma. Like, what is the reason you would take somebody who's obviously, in my opinion, not even... hasn't shown to be better than DeMonte, who doesn't take an import slot up? Like, if you're going to use an import slot up, go get Faker. Like,
well, what?
Don't go use it on Ryoma. Don't go get somebody else. Like, there's so many other people in the world. You obviously can't get Faker, but go get somebody else on the planet. Like, literally,
Me?
there's so many. No, not you. You literally cannot even play. You can't play anything.
You said they should pick up you and your one-trick Taric.
I was saying I can play like 6 different champions. Well,
You're
is a different
flexible
story.
now.
I've always been flexible. I can touch my toes.
Yeah.
But I think the big thing about it is that, what's it called? I don't think that Ryoma wasn't worth the import slot before he came over. Ryoma's definitely not worth it now. I think that...
Here's my thing. I don't think players like from Oceania, Turkey, and what's the other places, the minor up-and-coming regions, why do they count as imports? They're basically just like worse than LCS
So
players.
I actually have a curious... I have a... Did you type all of those in the span of 1 second? Or is that like... No, but there's no way he did. I think that this chat is slow. Because that all of those 3-4 sentences...
It's not a slow mode, though.
It's not about... There's no... I don't even know if there is a slow mode on YouTube. What I'm saying is, I think it just typed out slow. Like, it literally just shoots out messages at once. I don't think that's really relevant to the conversation, so... Ryoma's just so bad. No Ryoma. Ryoma misplays hugely on Victor. Goes into melee range on a medium to long range mage. Multiple... That doesn't make sense. Like, why are you putting on that? It's like a control mage that obviously doesn't shine in these... Like, he can fight, like kind of close range fights. But, like, you're not going to beat a Syndra walking into her face. You're not going to beat anybody like that. And that's kind of the way he plays it.
The idea was Victor has a gravity field, Zoe pops up in front of it, he stuns her.
It is slow, yeah. Because there's absolutely, unless you're some sort of typing master, you did not type that out in 3 seconds. They all popped up in less than a second apart from each other.
But, I don't know. It was easy to think that Bjergsen could beat Ryoma. He literally fisted him like a week ago when he played Azir into him, when Bjergsen got that pentakill. I mean, people were going and saying Ryoma has to beat the best mid laners in the league, Bjergsen and Niski. They lost based off mid lane difference. Medios played well, Someday played well, Cody some really played well.
I do feel bad for him. It's not like, even though I think he's bad, he did have a terrible matchup. Like, those were like...
But he had a game where he popped off, though.
I'm saying those... Of everybody in the playoffs that he could have played, those are probably not the best ones to play.
Yeah.
Honestly, you know what? No, he shouldn't have been in the playoffs in terms of just his... Because he's not going to be evil geniuses as a mid laner either.
He can't be Power of Evil.
He can't do it. There's literally... He is the worst...
The only person worse than him is maybe Golden Glue.
Maybe. I honestly don't think so.
Golden Glue's... I had him ranked above him.
I think Golden Glue is actually... Like, he's literally just the worst... Not only is he the worst one in the playoffs, he might be the worst one in the whole league.
No, that's Aka.
You think Aka's better? Okay, maybe. Maybe Aka's
Aka
worse.
exists,
I think that Aka's... Aka has... Yeah, Aka probably is worse.
And then there was Crown, who's 11th.
It's very long range. I actually had a big problem with this back when I was like hard stuck in gold as a mid lane main. I used to like underestimate how much what's it called? I used to play Xerath into Victor all the time, and I used to always struggle with this matchup because I always underestimated his range. Like, he'd always use, like, I usually try and get a max range Q, and if you, like, kind of walk even slightly close to him, he can do, like, a little stutter step and get right into you and get the E off. And he can always get you. Like, and then at that point, like, he gets you one or twice, and then he can just one-shot you with QE, a Q ult. Ryoma did not pop off, to be honest, just disrespected and got... See, that's the whole thing. Like, he had good ults. I think that's a big thing about it.
I think the casters overhyped it up.
I think it was a good ult. I think all, like, the combo, like, it's not like it was incredible, and I think that it was literally just a gold Orianna player could have ulted right there, but I think at the same time, I do think, I want to give him credit for the things that he does right, because I don't think he's good, but I do think he does some things right. I think that The reason that I think he could benefit on this team is because he's not a resource-heavy, player. He's not a resource-heavy player, so which means that it's fine for him to be on this team.
But 100 Thieves, they want to grow talent.
100 Thieves wants to grow talent. I don't believe that for a second. That's obviously not a correct choice. I mean,
they say grow talent, yet they have.
I think if they're gonna do that, put Saligo in, because Saligo has actually looked in the 2 tournaments that I've seen, and he's on the team already. The 2 tournaments that I've actually seen him in, I'm not saying he was a monster on Oriana, but he had some good ults. He wasn't the most disgusting Oriana player I've ever seen.
They're gonna try Saligo again.
Saligo, literally, the recent tournaments that I've seen, and not only the Tyler 1 thing, but also the Twitch Rive and all that stuff, he's been popping off.
He's actually got way better.
It's not like he's playing top quality players there, but he's also I've seen a lot of stuff. He's played some challenger mid laners and still smashed them.
Or I don't know. Play who's their backup support? Do they play contracts or media? Not even close.
He was just huge because I had a triple kill. No, I agree. I mean, I think that it's like my opinion on I think that benefiting the junglers when they do something well is something you should always give credit to. Like, if they're in the right place at the right time, you give credit to them. But at the same time, you don't give credit to not Grig, what's his name from 100 Thieves 2 years ago at Worlds? The jungler.
Onda.
You don't give Onda credit because, remember, the games that they actually almost, where he popped, he had 6 kills, is because he came in to a fight where the enemy team was already taking a bad fight and was able to clean up. Mm-hmm. And I think that him being at the right spot was a good thing. I think it was a good choice for him to be there, which is why I give him credit for that. But at the same time, I don't give him too much credit because he didn't mechanically outplay. He didn't do anything incredible because he was in the right position at the right time. Again, that's a quality you need to give credit. That's something a lot of people can't do. But at the same time,
he got hit by every bubble. He got hit by every sleep.
But at that fight towards the top side where he collapsed twice in a row,
yeah,
he made it there and won the fight, even though they just took a bad fight against them.
It was more like 100 Thieves messing. It was more like EG being too aggressive. And
it was a mistake on EG's part that he was able to capitalize on,
because even I remember just in the series, Rhino was never a factor until that game that he actually popped off on, and popping off is in quotations.
Quotations. Don't ever do that again.
It's like. He was the worst mid. See, the best lane in the game right now, arguably of all time, is still mid lane. And if your mid laner is that weak, going up against the best mid laners in the league, and Bjerg's is not even considered the best in the league right now. It's Niski and PoE. How's he beating the 3rd best mid laner then? He wasn't
4th.
Or you're even 4th. Let's just say he was 4th.
No, Niski's the 4th best mid laner.
He wasn't even better than the 4th best mid laner.
I think that, as it stands right now, I think the rankings go. I don't feel bad for TL at all because they're playing terrible.
I feel bad for only Broxa because he got here so late.
Broxa,
he's the only person I'll give okay, it wasn't really his fault though. You can't
synergize
with the team after 5
obviously
weeks.
It's hard to keep the motivation going after so much in the league. After you've been in the league for so long, I understand why somebody would be tilted, but at the same time, there's no excuse for playing this poorly. They all played poorly. Doublelift was trash for 90% of the season. He came back and played well at the very last week, and you're people are feeling sorry for him, but he's the reason they didn't make playoffs. When a lot of their team was playing well, he was the reason they were losing.
He couldn't play Senna. He legitimately just couldn't play her.
Core JJ has not been popping off, but he's still been
I'll attest that to the jungle thing. I think that Core JJ works better when he can pair up his jungler really good. So back when he was on Gen G, he paired up with or Samsung when he paired up with Ambition really well. They were a great 2v2, and when he was on TL, he paired up really well with Smithy. He has to pair up with Broxa and Surenfire, which I think he never had time to synergize with.
I'm saying I don't like to give I think that Jensen played really well this season, so I just genuinely feel bad for him. Jensen was
good. Trying so hard.
Jensen was good this season. Actually, you know what? Why are we not including him in the top 5? I keep forgetting about that.
In MVP?
No, just for players. Just for mid laners.
Okay, then Rival was never going to win, because if let's just say 100 Thieves faced TL, okay, well, he wasn't beating Jensen either.
I think that, so the reality of it is, Doublelift played terrible throughout most of the season, and even though I think he's a good player, he is the sole reason as to why they lost a lot of games, so I can't really feel too sorry for him. But at the same time, like, you can feel sorry for Jensen because he is also a good player on top of the fact that he's playing well and they're still losing. Like,
see, my thing is, I have two reasons why they sucked. One, I truly don't think the league got better. That's the worst part is they look bad and see, usually when you're at the top, someone is supposed to get better than you. That's why you lose your top. The league didn't even get better. It was just one team got better, and they got substantially worse.
So if you want my honest opinion, in the past 3 seasons, NA's been on a gigantic slope, like trajectory downward. Like post like season 6 to season 7, season 8, all those TSMs. Not season 8. I don't know why I said season 8. But season
pretty
6.
much season 9.
Who's this guy messaging? Shut up! Stop messaging me. He's messaging me on Discord. Oh, what are you doing?
I message you, what are you doing? You ignore me.
Well, I guess I hate you. But for the most part, I think that the big thing I see about, like all these players is... Wait, what was I going again? Where was
it? On a substantial decline.
NA, NA, in my opinion, has never produced a team as solid as... What was it? Season 6 TSM? Season 6 TSM. I know you're not going to agree with that.
Because I said, depending on how this year goes, you could throw that this year's Cloud9.
I could not, because they're not that good. That's just the reality of it is. Their macro isn't that good. The reason they don't lose a lot of games is because of the fact that not only do they have really good pick and ban phase, but a lot of the teams eventually make a mistake, and they capitalize on it. They're not good at capitalizing, but the state of the game right now is objective-based, which they're the only team that's even focused relying on that. And it's what's it called? And if you get the objectives, you win the game. Like, you get a Rift Herald, or you focus on the dragons, and if you get a Rift Herald, that's a mass amount of gold going to whoever's in that lane.
If you get 2 Rift Heralds, that's so much gold for your team now.
Because their preparation, 1, and because 2, the meta disparity. I agree. Like, meta disparity is a big reason as to why they lost, because these...
I don't agree with that, actually. I don't agree with that, because last year, there was a very clear weakness of Impact, and he couldn't play some stuff.
Well, no. Like, just think about the meta... In terms of just the impact that top lane has right now, Impact is not only is he playing poorly, but the meta is so against his playstyle in terms of just how much impact a top lane can have. He can't play like Karma top, but he can play Maokai and all these kind of stuff, and with the more impactful role, I think he would have been fine.
Here's my thing. I think that remember when TL had tactical and they went 2-0 with him, and everybody said this is now TL's turn to shine. I think that if they just played tactical instead of benching him after 1 game, they probably would have made playoffs.
I don't think so. I think the tactical played well, but at the same time, he didn't play so well to the point where I think he would have been a top ADC.
But the team played better with him.
They didn't even play better with him. They just had another player that didn't suck. They didn't generally play better. They literally just...
They look better as a team, though.
No. What I'm saying is, they didn't look better as a team, in my opinion. He didn't add something that Doublelift didn't. What I'm saying is, he added another player to the team. Doublelift was literally a negative player for their team. And that's just, like, as much as I don't want to say because he's been so good, he was such a negative player that it was preferable to have somebody who just wasn't as good as him, in comparison, like, who wasn't as good as him usually, to, like, just so the fact that he was, at that point in time, he was playing better, so they needed that extra amount of damage.
But they didn't build upon that. They just kicked him after 1 game.
Well, I didn't kick him. Their success is they're not going to win NA with tactical, with the way he plays. Their goal should never be mediocrity, because tactical is not good enough to take the role that Doublelift left for him.
But I don't think you make judgments like that when he just kind of started playing.
I can see, based off not only his academy games, but off the games that he played, he wasn't as good as Doublelift can be. His ceiling wasn't as high.
I just don't want to make judgments like that, because you honestly don't know.
I can guarantee you 90% of players, you can make a judgment on how high their ceiling is based off 2 to 3 games. And I think that is pretty relevant for most of the part. But you can't see how good they can get, but you can see their ceiling as how possibly good they. You can see you can't see how consistent they can be, but you can see how good they possibly can get for the most part.
Oh, it clicked my brain too now. Another reason why TL sucked is because all the times that they won, they're really exploitable. It was so baffling to me how these teams never exploited them. And then I think now that when they did lose, they got exploited. Their playstyle was always wait till like 25 minutes, win a skirmish, win the game.
Cloud9...
That's why they lost to G2.
Honestly, this Cloud9, if they went last year, I still don't think would win the split. I think the problem with it is the fact that this meta is literally completely different from the previous meta. The dragons.
I was talking specifically about playstyle.
What I'm saying, their playstyle is still the same, but it's not as impactful as the previous seasons. You see what I'm saying? So what happens right now is the fact that Team Liquid what is that? Is he dying? Okay.
Good lord.
Pre 25 minutes is the most important aspect of the game right now. Why do you keep closing stuff out?
Pre 25?
I don't want this stuff blind to me. Do you see how bright this is? Keep it on a dark page, please.
Dark mode.
So what I'm saying is pre 25 minutes right now is extremely important because that's when you can start stacking up the dragons. You can start getting all these slight objectives, and they rebuff the tower plating. So it means like all of these shift into an early game centric team, and it means like these late game centric ADCs can scale faster, which means that their ability to get into the late game was fine, but the thing about it is they were so inhibited by trying to get these tower plates and getting lane dominance still that they weren't able to get these objectives in the early to mid game. So by late game they were so far behind on these objectives that they were forced to take terrible fights. Like if you're down 3 dragons and you try and contest, you have to they can kind of like if they're behind, they can reluctantly go and they don't have to contest it because you only have 1 dragon. But if you're behind, you have to go in no matter what. If they set up vision control before there, you have to walk in blindly. That's the reason why it's so important right now.
The meta revolves around proactivity.
You have to be proactive in the early game. That's just what happens.
They weren't even proactive last year, though.
Yeah, but that didn't matter last season.
No, but that's what I'm saying is like we had proactive teams who could do it. They just weren't good. They didn't have the caliber of players good enough to exploit
They had caliber of players good at. Look, I don't think the caliber of players has shifted. The meta has shifted, and that's what's benefited a lot of these teams and also made a lot of them suck. Like not only is Team Liquid quite a bit worse in terms of mechanicals, abilities.
Also, the Broxah for Smithy team probably they haven't had time to synergize with him because he came into.
It's not even just that. Just the fact is they didn't suit this meta. They don't suit this meta. Their playstyle doesn't suit this meta, and the reality, if they want to be able to succeed in this meta, they need to shift their playstyle. Their playstyle from last year is not going to make them succeed. You have to be proactive in the early game. You have to contest these dragons. You have to be able to get the early game centric dragons, these little minute stacks on things, because if you're ahead in the early game and you can force dragons early, it takes a lot less time for the next dragons to essentially you can have a 4th dragon by the time it's 20 something early 20 minutes, which means that an early game comp is going to have complete dominance over the dragon and you can't contest it at that point. Souls, in my opinion, I don't like them that much, but they have a really good they really do force the point of ending a game. They really force home the point of this game has to end in the next 5 minutes.
So could TL improve next split, or do you want them to make changes?
Changes in terms of roster?
Yeah.
I mean, the roster isn't the problem besides Impact right now. I think the reality is they need a whole.
Who would they get over Impact anyway, though?
I don't know. I mean,
who would they even try to play?
Well, what's the Academy look like again?
Oh God, going down a cesspool of Academy.
Cesspool Academy. Shut up. Let's look at the Academy roster. I don't know who's on. I don't know all the top laners on the Academy. I could look them up.
Maybe they take Lolo back.
Okay, maybe not that. Maybe just not that one. But something else. Playing the early game where FlyQuest and 100 Thieves were decent. I mean, that's the reality. TSM, the reason they're able to play the early game is because they're just the most dominant laning team in the league.
It was revealed in stats. They have, outside of Cloud9, they have the best laning stats of any team. They just have good players around.
I mean, even then, the only reason I think that Cloud9 beats them is because of the bot lane. I think that's the whole reason. I think they mid lane and top lane, just purely laning wise, I think that I would say that TSM does have the edge. But Zven and Vulcan are just disgusting. They're the most disgusting combination I've ever seen in a bot. Literally the best bot lane I've ever seen.
Smoothie and Zven had anti-synergy.
I'm saying this is the best bot lane that NA has had. In my opinion, so far that I've seen. I don't think it's 80s.
Back in the day, there was sneaky.
I'm saying the only bot lane.
Double lift after move?
No. The double lift Biofrost was probably the second best. But this is in my opinion, NA's best bot lane they've ever produced so far. Again, it's not the end of the year, so I'm not gonna say it's gonna be the case.
Best of all time.
But right now, the reason that I think Cloud9 is so successful is because of this bot lane. They're able to scale. They're always able to contest these dragons because they're winning bot side every single time. And that is the whole reason I think that they're so good right now.
People have to factor in, why do people like better bot lanes? Better bot lanes mean if you push enemy bot lane back, your jungler gets to have priority to get dragon.
It's not even dragon. It's literally priority over bot side jungle too, because you're always going to be able to contest, where so is the enemy bot lane cannot. Like they can run back, but they're going to miss CS for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like Cloud9 purely because I'm so in love with this bot lane. The Vulcan is incredible. Sven is incredible.
If Vulcan ever starts sucking and I say he sucks, he's gonna destroy me.
I have been hard on Vulcan for like 2 straight years, and he's been yelling at me, "Oh, Vulcan's so bad."
I didn't say Vulcan was bad. I was like, his buyout's not worth it. This guy, there's no way you're gonna justify $1 million buyout for a guy who's never even.
And what do you say now?
The buyout's kind of still not justified until you win the split.
Okay, it's because they have a good mix. Dardock are early game, whereas the rest of the teams are very flexible and strategic. Well, no, I agree. I was talking specifically about TSM. I mean Cloud9, but TSM, they just literally are so dominant in the early game.
Dardock
they literally
just complements Broken Blade's play
like
style.
the bot lane is probably the least dominant in the early game, but Bjergsen wins most lanes.
But they don't really lose.
Broken Blade wins all lanes.
But Kobbe and Botafrost don't really lose.
They don't lose, but they're not dominant laners. That's what I'm saying.
But if they go super even, they're really effective outside of lane.
That's what I'm saying. Like that complements them because it shifts them into a late game scaling comp. That's the reason why they're better than.
And then Dardock doesn't have to. TSM has the lowest jungle to bot lane proximity in the league. He literally never goes bot lane.
You don't need to.
Ever.
Like, they're not going to take over a game. They're good. Like, Kame and Biofrost are really good players. But they literally don't need an early game lead because they're going to be useful regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But you have 2 players who are literally reliant on gold income, and you need to gank for them. And that's the reality. Like, you can't afford to get the bot lane ahead because you need the other 2 players who are complete trying to be solo carries themselves to be ahead. Like, I think what I like about this team, obviously, is Dardock is the shot caller for early game for most of the teams he is in, and then he shifts to more so a secondary shot caller late in the game. Low econ, yeah, that's what it is. It fits perfectly well for this team. You can always fit a Varus in there, even though Varus kind of requires
skill.
He requires high income items like Rageblade and Bork are kind of high income.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the same time, you don't require You have a lower capacity for being useful.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah, you're right. Kobbe always seems to be up in CS too. Like he is better than a lot of the competition.
Well, the problem is the fact that the very bottom sucks so bad, and that's like six teams. 6 teams have just completely terrible bot lanes.
Wait, Stixxay, Apollo.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Stixxay, Apollo,
freaking
FBI,
Wild Turtle,
Cody Sun.
Cody Sun.
Cody Sun's terrible at laning, so him too.
Oh yeah,
Cody Sun's trash at laning. He's literally probably worse than 3 of the people I just named.
Who else is there? Anything to toss? TL has Doublelift.
Doublelift, who sucked most of the year. I mean, just the reality is, Kobbe's not really had much competition. That's why I think his CS differential's high, but he's not a dominant laner. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, even against a dominant laner like Sven and
Bang.
What's it called?
I heard about Bang.
Bang's been pretty okay, so I'm not gonna include him in that. But I'm saying for the most part, Kobbe's differential is being boosted by a lot of these players, but for the most part, even against dominant players, he's not going to go negative. But I think the big thing about it,
like he was one of the sole reasons why they won that 100 Thieves game. That outplay he made top lane, where he Xayah ulted, flash backwards, rooted up Cody Sun and killed him. Like those are just. He's been really good. He's like the most underrated player on TSM.
The problem is there's so many good players on TSM. But the problem, at the same time, even though they have good players, they don't have good synergy.
Their mid game is
their transition from early game to mid game is terrible. I agree, and they're like and mid game to late game. When they in late game, they're really good. What do you think would have to happen for TSM to make the finals this year? I think they're going to make the finals. I think the reality of it is, to beat FlyQuest, they literally just have to worry about Ignar getting a really good pick. Really, like for TSM to get a pick in terms of like Ignar, because he's really. Like, he's a substantially worse player on anything but engaged supports, and then you just have to worry about Power of Evil. And I think that Dardock can handle, like, even though I think that what's-his-name is playing really well this season, Santorin, I think that Dardock is the smarter jungler in general, so I do think he's going to be able to take over. And I think that the mid-game is the only problem they're going to have, because transitioning-wise, I think FlyQuest usually has the better comps. To take the finals.
Oh, you want to win.
I'll build up to the finals then. So, like, I think that to be able to, I just want to do each matchup because it's a lot better to beat C9.
Okay.
Okay, do you want me? I'll just skip to C9.
C9 has to cut their hands off, and that's how you win.
Okay, so if you want my honest opinion, what they need to be doing to C9, I think the most exploitable person on this team is Blabber. I know you don't want me to say that, but Blabber is the probably the most one-dimensional player on the team. His jungle pathing is pretty. Jungle pathing is really hard to say it's generic because there's not too many versatile versions of jungle pathing.
Quincy, I know you said they're gonna be FlyQuest, but what if they don't?
Well, I mean, there's
really
ways
crazy.
they can lose to FlyQuest. I just say I don't think they will. Well, that's the
yeah, I know. That's the thing though. Like, just what if they don't even? What if they just leave Solo on an island and they just win?
If they leave Solo on the island, he will literally like die. I don't know. He's gonna die of starvation or something. There's no way you can just leave him on an island. Like Broken Blade literally.
They kind of do anyway.
Well, yeah, but the fact is, you leave anybody in the league on an island with a Broken Blade, he's gonna just put him in the dumpster.
Oh my god,
he's better than everybody laning. That's just what he does.
I think if Power of Evil can beat Bjergsen so hard that he'll lose, because it's kind of weird though. Power of Evil does beat Bjergsen a lot. Remember how he was on Unicorns of Love?
Well, I just want to again. He wanted to talk about Cloud9.
Oh, so I don't think you win, man.
I think they can win. Again,
I think if you win in laning phase, you can win.
The problem is that you get to late game. I think that's the one team that actually is better than TSM at late game too. The early game, the late game, because Ven is a better version of Kabe. That's just what it is.
It's like TSM has better laning.
Not better laning.
C9 has a better.
Oh no!
C9 has a better mid game.
Well,
that matters more right now.
It's TSM doesn't have a better early game. They have better laning. Cloud9's ability to create skirmishes and coordination in the early game is why I think they're better.
C9's objective control is better?
If they just went to laning phase, I think Cloud9 would lose a lot more games. That's just they're not completely dominant in the early game.
But it's just that C9 has better objective control. You have a better mid game. They have better skirmishes.
And honestly, they have a better late game because of the fact that their ADC is so much better. Like, just the reality of it is...
Like, Kabe is... Because people say they're kind of the exact same player.
They are similar players, but Kabe's the worst version of Sven.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the early game is when you're going to have to see TSM take the lead. If they can take the lead in the early game, which obviously their only ability is... Dardoch is a better jungler than Blabber. So if he's able to create... Like, again, I know a lot of people... Like, again, it's based off of who has the higher possibility. I'm pretty sure Black played did it someday in Zola. It'll be out of. He's a better he will lane better than Licorice, but the problem is Licorice is so consistent. I don't think
is smarter than him outside of the lane.
I don't know.
Licorice team fights better. Broken Blade doesn't team fight better. Broken Blade just kind of sees a target and goes to it. Licorice knows how to team fight better, and that's it's weird. Like one person just does one thing differently better. But no, this has been fun actually.
When I think about it, is Broken Blade doesn't team fight. Team fights really well still. I think the big problem, obviously, if you want to see a TSM win the series, you need to see early game aggression from Dardoch. He's gonna have to get mid lane, in my opinion, in going, because I think top lane is gonna go regardless. Especially if you get him a good matchup, I think he's gonna win this matchup. So I think you kind of get mid lane going. You focus that as Dardoch, and then you kind of stationary let the bot lane exist. Because they're not going to win that lane regardless. Even if you get them ahead, he's never going to be more useful than Sven. So you have to do that at that point. And then with the mid lane going, you can focus objective control on the dragon. And you have to, you can't contest both of them. Play the way they did on the game they took them. Well, I mean, I guess. But, it's just the Cloud9 is the better team right now, and they're smarter. Mechanically, I don't think there's much of a difference between the two. But the reality is there's such a small window for TSM to have to win because they can't let it go to late game or Sven will take over.
Look at that 100 Thieves game. It took them 40 minutes to win when they weren't even
They had to push for a huge lead mid or top. I think mid has to be the thing because that's the only way they're going to be able to contest dragons early.
They need to give
and they need to be able to get this soul early game or the team fighting that TSM has, Cloud9 has in terms over them with the ADC is going to give them the edge. If they can get these early game souls, I think a soul could give them the difference between, or even just the base stats of that, a mountain or an ocean drake. These things could give them the base stats to be able to beat them in team. Because if they have a soul, I think they could beat Cloud9 in any form of the.
I think if they want to beat Cloud9, they want to give Broken Blade at least Gangplank, or they want to give Bjergsen something
I don't like
Zoe.
I mean, as much as I think he's not a bad Gangplank, I think the team doesn't know how to play around a Gangplank, so I don't really want to give him that. I think
in case Licorice beats him in lane.
I don't think Licorice will ever beat him in lane. I think Licorice just is like if you have to play to your strengths, and with the marginal difference between the teams, you have to play like you're gonna win top, because you can't, if you play like you're gonna lose top, you're gonna lose the game. You have to play like you're gonna win the like top lane regardless of the situation. So you just build a lead off that. You build a lead in mid lane, try and get early game objective controls around the dragon, and then if with the base stats you get off that, it can kind of negate the difference between mid game. I feel like 100 Thieves playstyle just counters TSM's. That's why they had so much strategic team fighting. They wanted to play it. Yeah, it's a safe team that tries like early aggressive.
They're just so safe. They don't do anything.
Well, the reality it is TSM couldn't close out against them because there's so much of a different, like they're so passive. That they didn't really get a chance to engage on them in the mid game, and they already have a mildly uncoordinated version of a mid game as it is. We need Spring's final Vlad's carry style to win against them in the finals. Honestly,
I'm glad Vlad is not good right now because Broken Blade is really good Vladimir.
I think it literally you can't win with top lane purely alone. I think objective control is so necessary right now. And not even that, even if you don't get objectives, if no one really gets to the soul and the game ends before then, which I don't think TSM has the intelligence to do, they don't have the coordination to be able to close out the game before then. So I think the reality is, in that level in these, well, yeah, I agree. You have to expect Broken Blade, because if you play around a Broken Blade who you think might lose, you're going to lose the game. You can't play like you're going to lose.
You play CSGO with this guy calling you Thick Daddy?
I don't play CSGO with him. I don't know why he keeps asking me. I don't play CSGO.
You could probably play League of Legends.
You're literally going to get fought.
But yeah, guys, it's been fun. I have to go home and just start watching Pornhub Premium tonight.
So this is where you throw in the Discord, you say. So if you want notifications on the channel, or you want to talk to either him
or this guy.
I don't know. I mean, I exist on there, but you can at me if you want to talk about anything.
Because he said, I'll be a part of your podcast. Never comes on ever.
I never said I'd be a part of it. You keep saying, I'm going to force you to be a part of this. We created this channel together, and he turned it into a meme, so I stopped filming.
Into a meme?
Turned it into a meme.
That's weird, though. Is there... Yeah, just... Make sure you guys join the Discord. Tomorrow, TSM will lose. Mark my words. Then this didn't age well.
But again, if you have any questions, well, not questions, or just like if you want to start a conversation with me, if you want to talk to him, I don't know what's wrong with you, but he'll be there too. So I'll leave he wants me to put the Discord in there. There's the, what's it called?
You said just casually throw it in there to make sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. You threw it in like 7 every time somebody came. You'd like just be like, oh, and
it's
this
like a
is
sponsored ad.
What's not you? I mean,
I'm now sponsored by Ruffles. Please buy bags of chips.
Well, I ate all of them. He didn't get one chip. I stole all his chips. I was hungry, dude.
What? So tomorrow, if FlyQuest do beat TSM, is that considered an upset?
If FlyQuest do beat TSM, I do think it's an upset. But at the same time, I think there's reasonable reasons to think that TSM could lose.
But if FlyQuest beat TSM, do you think FlyQuest would beat Evil Geniuses? Because they didn't beat Evil Geniuses before.
FlyQuest can beat anybody because of the abilities they have in the mid lane, and they can play through that, and that's the only reason, because they have the reason I think they would match up moderately okay with Cloud9 is because they have their comps are always pretty solid. They always build around the correct people because there's not too many. Like it's easy.
Don't have to have the most amazing players to play through.
Well, the reason they're able, it's easy to build a comp when you only have to play through like 2 players. Like they don't have enough good players on their team to have to like build. You don't have to build a comp around 3 different carries because they only have 1 carry. So.
Oh, guys, I'm going on a date tomorrow.
He's not going on a date tomorrow. Girls do not talk to him, and they don't talk to either one of us.
Wait, what? I am taken at this point. I am off the market. So.
Yeah, he's not.
Tomorrow we might be hanging out at our friend's house, and that's when we'll bring her over.
Isn't Evil Genius just in the losers match? They are in the losers match. They have to play the winner out of TSM versus FlyQuest.
But that's the thing I was saying was Evil Genius already beat FlyQuest. Could they just do it again? I mean, to be fair,
I think there's possibilities for FlyQuest to win always.
Yeah, like people thought they were done against Golden Guardians, but or does TSM have to beat another team? No, it's basically C9 are in the finals, and then whoever wins out of TSM versus FlyQuest faces EG, and that's like your technical 3rd place match. Then after whoever wins the 3rd place match faces Cloud9 in the finals.
Yeah, so that's the 2nd place match. There's no 3rd place match.
Yeah.
Like, all around, this format is terrible, and that's the whole reason it makes no sense.
Bring up playoff games. I like it. So.
I don't like it because it's just forced. Like, first of all, what impact did these first? Like, all of these games made no.
All of them were hyped though.
They were not hype at all.
Everybody was hyped.
These were hyped. This was hype because there was an elimination right here. This wasn't hype because there's no fun teams in this.
Okay, here losers bracket is hype because you're out.
So no, essentially what happens? TSM wins. They're in the semifinals. And if they win that, they go straight to the finals against Cloud9, which means that literally Cloud9 gains nothing from winning through the winners bracket because you don't have to win twice against them.
Yeah, basically whoever goes through FlyQuest and TSM have to win this best of 5 and another one,
and then they're in the finals.
Yeah. And then you have to win the finals against Cloud9, which, well, you are not doing because this is our split. And then when Cloud9 wins, we're having a big celebration for Cloud9 winning.
I don't care about Cloud9.
See, he's evil, hateful, and mean.
I'd like to see a team that actually is solid win.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He says this whenever his predictions are wrong.
Okay, so he predicted completely wrong and got lucky. And then I just hate it, dude.
No, like he rags on the Gen G thing too. It's like Gen G didn't play well that year. They were bad. They had like one moment where they peaked really hard, and it was like, okay, maybe they're gonna bring it back. You literally, we talked about it, and you said, I don't think Gen G is going to lose to Cloud9, but I'm a Cloud9 fan, so I say I'm going to do it. I was
and then,
naming.
No, you were not. And then we get to this, and Cloud9 beats them, and they're like, wow, I told you guys. And no, you didn't tell us anything.
I said Gen G wasn't that good, so like, if they lost, I'm not gonna be surprised. No. I was thinking that, but I didn't say it. Actually.
No, you were not. We all talked about it. We had conversations, and when realities go in his favor, he kind of warps them into, this is what I actually said.
You're like I'm some mask manipulator.
No, you're just somebody who just doesn't want to be wrong.
I'm never wrong. But yeah, see you guys later. I'll be live streaming next. Wait, when's the next playoff game? After TSM versus FlyQuest.
I think tomorrow's. Tomorrow
and then next week.
The one after that is let's go to. Well, that's Academy.
Whoa.
Why
Saturday?
Why is that's why. I was wondering. So
Saturday.
This one and then Evil Genius Saturday the 18th. So it's on Saturday.
So we could live stream after Cloud9 wins. That's not gonna age well.
I would really be happy if they lost just so I could see you cry on a live stream.
Oh, and after that, I go out the door. I come back 100 Thieves fan.
Man, it would be your life would have to really go downhill to be a 100 Thieves fan.
Or some could say that about TSM, right? No, I love TSM guys. I love Bjergsen when he eats out Rich.
See, like, I don't know why you talk like that. Like, just the words you say, like, oh yeah, this guy just eat out like sex.
Yeah, like people in the Discord when they're podcasting, we're laughing, having a good time.
Let me see.
You're like, I'm a big fuddy duddy.
No one talks in your Discord. The only thing that talks in your Discord is the bot that tells people.
I'm talking about the League podcast group. Where we're like having a podcast. We were just having a good time, just laughing. Stern face mean.
Okay, so.
But yeah, I personally think that if FlyQuest win tomorrow, it's not like, oh my god, FlyQuest won, TSM sucked. Ah, God. Tomorrow, if FlyQuest win, it's not gonna be that surprising. Like TSM fans will say like, "We'll burn it down, fire Bjergsen, fire Broken Blade, just burn it all down, start over, make a new team called MST." It's like, it's not that bad. I think if FlyQuest beats them, it's not surprising personally. I don't think. I mean, after today, if Evil Geniuses are the second place team and C9 made them look like that, I don't
think they're the second place team. They're just ranked second.
So TSM is second place?
I think they're probably the second place teams, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll see you guys on either Saturday or Sunday for the last stream before the split's over. Oh, for the LEC. I mean, there's not a big passionate fan base for the LEC as much people like to make you believe.
That's because you're stupid when it comes to the LEC. You just kind of make generalizations.
Oh, yeah.
So no one comes onto your stream for that.
We had a lot of fans that like the LPL. I mean, guys, last time I was watching the LPL, I saw this Vici Gaming player. He played... No. Oh, my God. He played so bad. This man saw a mid laner leave. 2 seconds later, he died.
I like how distracted you get with telling stories. Like, you're like, we're going to end, and then you're just like, oh, no, by the way, this.
See you guys later. Bye. Have a good day.
I think it's highly unlikely. I do think, too, but...
it's highly unlikely FlyQuest wins. Man, we're gonna say this, and tomorrow they're gonna win, and you're like, oh crap.
Okay.
Good lord. Yeah. See you guys later. Bye.
See you later.
Peace.